got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
This is Dial 104.9 FM.
104.9 Isle FM.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I happen to be a lawyer, and should I call myself a pseudo-politician? Not quite a politician, but I've served in government before, and I'm delighted to be here. Well, thank you very much. Well, yes, is it my family or the wider family? I mean, like I said, I'm the son of Chief Dr. Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Like I said, he was a former politician, a frontline politician. He was the General Secretary of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, later National Council of Nigerian Citizens. He was the General Secretary of that party for about 8 years. From there, he was appointed by Souq to become a federal minister. He was initially a federal minister without portfolio. Consequently, after that, he became acting minister for labor, social services, and then he became Nigeria's first federal minister for information in 1956. He held that portfolio till 1958. Thereafter, he resigned from government. He had disagreement with the party. And Tafawa Balewa felt that he was a useful politician that could be sent to Ghana. And he went to Ghana to find out what was. Ghana was a bit ahead of us in terms of politics at the time. And I think it's fair to say they got independence just before us. And Tafawa Balewa wanted someone to understudy, to find out what we're doing. So he sent Kola Balogun there. Initially, he was commissioner. And later, when we gained independence in 1960, he became High Commissioner. Shortly after that, when we became independent, he yearned to come home. He wanted to take part in the new political atmosphere at the time. He asked the Prime Minister to relieve him, to let him come back, and he did come back home. And immediately he took up the position of being chairman of the National Shipping Line. That was the position he held on to until the military struck in 1966. But even then, when the military did strike in 1966, he still continued. I think General Debayo of blessed memory invited him to join his cabinet, and he served as a commissioner for about 3 years or more. I think he was commissioner for health and was commissioner for education. Later, he also became chairman of the sketch group of companies as well, and that was about it. I think after his stint in government, he decided to go and do a PhD at the University of Ibadan, and then he went back into private legal practice, and then he started this agitation for the creation of Osun State. He and a few others set up the movement. He was the chairman of the movement, and then to the glory of God, in 1991, Osun State was created. And that's it.
Tell us about mommy.
Well, yes, my mother. Well, in those days, the women weren't not so much in the forefront, But my mother has been my bedrock. She stood by me, and she has backed me in most of the things I've set out to do. And she's still alive. She's 89 this year, and she's still doing well, and she's still
and your wife
going
and
strong.
the kids?
Yes, my children. Yes, I have 3 girls, three daughters. My oldest is 31. You know, she studied at King's College London. She did reasonably well. She got a 7th class offer. Proud of her. She's now curator today. They have twin girls as well who are also in university now that they haven't graduated yet. One of them is in Oxford University. She's studying history and politics. And the other is in Cambridge University. She's studying human, social, and political sciences. So, yeah. I did. I mean, my father, Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory, yes, he was in the first cabinet in the First Republic, the first ever cabinet Nigeria had, and he served as the Federal Minister of Information and Research. As a matter of fact, he happened to be Nigeria's first information minister. Later, T.O.S. Benson, of course, became the independent Nigeria's first information minister, but independent Nigeria. But Nigeria's first ever information minister happened to be Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. No, I didn't. I took an opposite route from my father. My father went into politics immediately after he finished his education, and then he now ventured into law a little bit later. I decided to look at things differently. I thought that after academics I should practice law a bit, and that's what I've been doing. But at some point, I think that was in about 2011, I was called upon to serve in the Osun State government as a commissioner, and I took up that opportunity, and I enjoyed myself. Well, I am in the sense that I'm 65 years old now, and I think it's fair to say that we belong to, well, I would say the first set, but one of those who benefited from Nigerian education. I schooled here. I went to secondary school in the West. I went to the University of Ife, went to the Nigerian Law School. I think it's fair to say that all the schools at that time were of high quality, produced top quality students who went on to make names for themselves, not just here in Nigeria, but also abroad. I think we still do that now, even though the standard of education has dropped. The sad thing about it is that Nigeria could have been a lot better in terms of the potential, because Nigeria does have a lot of potential. We do have very brilliant young men and women, you know, and I just think that if we had invested more in education, that we could have, the sky would have been the limit, actually. Well, my take on this is that it's the system of law itself. As a young lawyer, I experienced a few challenges myself, and I think one of the obvious challenges is the appeal structure. It's too easy to appeal against judgments. At the same time, when you file actions in court, there are no penalties for costs. In other words, I can file a frivolous action. I could insult you, as an example, and then you could sue me. And I say to myself, well, I'm going to eke it out. I'm going to take it. You're going to have to take me all the way to the Supreme Court. That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. On the other hand, I could also file a frivolous application against you. And then filing a frivolous application, I could call you something you are not. I could defame you. And in so doing, you expect at least that once you prove your case, that I will be made to pay the penalties for filing frivolous applications. But that doesn't happen. And then, of course, the conditions of the judges. I mean, the judges are still writing longhand. They do trials, they sit there, they listen to witnesses. give evidence, and they have to write all these things down longhand. So there's so many challenges that has hampered the progress of law, and there hasn't been enough investment, I must say. Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to give an example as to how that I think we could possibly do that. Now, the Supreme Court hears everything. It's the final court in Nigeria, so they're going to hear issues related to criminal law, civil matters, constitutional matters, as you know, all these matters that's got to do with elections, so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we have an election cycle, the legal system slows down because the judges are hampered. They're too busy listening to the various appeals from the various states and the federal government to do with the elections. So as a consequence, the other matters to deal with shipping, banking, criminal law are put on the back burner. I think we need what you call a constitutional court, whereby which the judges in the Supreme Court are divided. So you have those judges whose responsibility it is entirely to deal with constitutional matters, and then you have another set whose duty will be to deal with our shipping, banking, civil matters, criminal matters, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's high time Nigeria has a constitutional court to try and aid the Supreme Court with the workload they have, which is, quite frankly, quite a bit. Well, Nigerians, with respect, are very brilliant, very intelligent, and they are very aware. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a tailor, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, engineer, they are quite well informed. And the truth of the matter really is that this is the longest republic we've had. This republic started in 1999, and this is 2025, so 26 years. Nigeria's never had a republic this long. But the main flaw is the one you just mentioned. The fact that that constitution that was bequeathed to us by the military in 1999 was never really approved by the people. Now, that doesn't make sense, and that's unfair, in fairness. We ought to be able to look at the constitution, improve upon it, and put our own input into it. Now, there's a way around that, and I've always believed, many people oppose this, but I'm of the view that what Nigerians need to have is a referendum. Have a referendum to ask the Nigerian people whether they want to persist with the 1999 constitution, or do they want to drop a new one? If the answer to that question is yes, we want to drop a new constitution, then that puts paid to the 1999 constitution, and then you can now have a system, a constituent assembly, whatever the case may be, where people will sit around the table and fashion out a new constitution. If the people say no, that means they've indirectly approved the 1999 constitution, and then we continue with it. But what we can't do is continue having this debate, these arguments as to whether the 1999 constitution has been approved by Nigerians or not, because it has not been. So I think the way around that is to ask the Nigerian people through a referendum, asking them whether they want to persist with this constitution. If they say no, then we have a new one. If they say yes, we continue with the old one. And that ends the debate. Every system has its merits. Every system has its advantages and disadvantages. To some extent, the presidential system of government has an advantage. It has the advantage in the sense that it has brought government nearer to the people. So the people of Osun, from where I'm from, for instance, now, have their own state. Same thing can be said, it's been replicated across the country. However, the drawbacks, the disadvantage is the fact that it's extremely expensive. Now, look at Nigeria, for instance, now. We have 36 state governments. So that means we have 36 governments in Nigeria. If you add the government of Abuja, if you add the federal government, that's 38. Now, each one of these governments have some form of legislature, judiciary, an executive as well, local government, civil service. It's too expensive. Look, in America, where we borrowed this system from, the states came together to form a union. This is totally different. We are doing it the opposite way. So we've had a structure that we're now going back. So at the end of the day, many of the state governments are still dependent on the federal government. And as a consequence, the kind of progress we ought to be making, we're not quite making it. So I personally, and this is a personal view because others would disagree, I would prefer that we reduce the size of government by having some kind of regional structure. And I believe that that will reduce the burden of governments. And if we can reduce the burdens of government, we can use this money to do many other things. And I also think it will also improve standards as well. Not just standards of government or parliamentary standards or whatever the case may be, but there'll be less people involved in the political system. And that would help us a great deal. Well, I think it's fair to say that since 1999, we haven't had any new state creation. I know there's been agitation for the creation of states, but there hasn't been any. The process for creating a state is quite cumbersome. It's not easy. I think it's in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. I don't think it's something we should be looking at. I think, like I said to you earlier, I think we should be trying to reduce the number of states, and I think some kind of regional structure whereby which we can monitor better what's going on rather than having more states. So I personally would not encourage the creation of more states, no. In the 1950s, we had 3 regions, if I'm correct. Those regions were the West, the East, and the North. We had the colony of Lagos, but if I'm right, I think it was the MacPherson Constitution, I think it is, I'm not too sure, that now put Lagos under the Western region. Now, when Lagos was placed under the Western region, lots of people were not happy about that. I remember my father was in the NCNC. The NCNC people were not particularly pleased, neither were the NPC. So they felt that Lagos belonged to everybody. Like you said, lots of people from different walks of life, different tribes, different backgrounds, and all schooled. I mean, Zik schooled in Lagos. He went to MBHS. So the issue was sent to London to arbitrate. I think it was Oliver Littleton that arbitrated over the matter. And it was decided that Lagos should stand on its own, that Lagos should not be merged with any of the regions. And that was how Lagos was able to free itself from the shackles of the Western region. It's fair to say that the position of the NCNC was actually argued in London by my father. That's why I'm quite familiar with this. But talking about Lagos, when the military, after that, we had what you called a minister for Lagos. I think there was Ribadu, and I think there was one other person, but I think it was Yaradua, not the same Yaradua, but his father. And then later after that, when the military struck, they created the state of Lagos. So the issue of giving Lagos special status has more or less been taken over by events. Lagos is a state, and as a state, it's still home to different people with different backgrounds, from different tribes, and it's thriving. I think it's fair to say that Lagos is probably the most prosperous state in the country. And it's just a question of its continuing with good governance and improving the strides they have made. Once again, let's go back to the past. We had what we used to call the House of Chiefs, wasn't it? And in those House of Chiefs, many of the members of the House of Chiefs were people, were traditional rulers, chiefs from different backgrounds, and they had a say in the running of the affairs of state. It's like it was more or less akin to the House of Lords. So it wasn't necessarily the chamber whereby which the activities of day-to-day governance took place, but they could always refer issues to them. And I think that if we change our structure of governance, and if, that's a big if, then yes, we can have something like that. We can have a second chamber, which is more or less advisory in nature, similar to the House of Lords, whereby which we will have obas and chiefs and people of influence who will be able to advise government from day to day from of the experiences and the way forward, but not necessarily binding. I think that's important. That decisions won't necessarily be binding on us, but at least they'll be able to share their views and experiences with the people. Well, that's a big issue. I was commissioner for youth in Oshun about 10 years ago under Rauf Aregbesola, and it was an issue we took quite seriously. In Oshun State, we had quite a number of youths who are unemployed, and the governor thought, what can I possibly do to give them something to do, to keep them employed? So he created what we call the Osun State Youth Empowerment Scheme. Now, under the State Youth Empowerment Scheme, unemployed youths were given particular tasks in the state. Help us sweep the roads. Some were part-time lecturers. Some were doing all sorts of things. They were given a stipend. It wasn't a full-blown salary. Or the salary, although the stipend was enough to keep them to be able to buy things, to be able to buy themselves drinks and food, and kept them occupied until they could find themselves a job. And I think the federal government could follow that kind of scheme, set up a youth empowerment scheme whereby which unemployed youths are given things to do. There's so many things that need to be done in Nigeria. You know, there's so many gaps whereby which the youths can help do that. In the interim, while they find themselves something more gainful or something more permanent. So it's a question, it's for government to do. It's for government to think of a way of helping out the youths. And of course, there should be partnerships, a partnership between the government and private enterprise to try and encourage them to take on more of our youths, and not necessarily those who have schooled abroad, who they think are probably the best in terms of employment. No, we have many here who can do a good job as well. Sustaining democracy is about discipline. It's about the people being disciplined. It's about those who rule us being disciplined. I started out by telling you that this is the longest government we've had. It's the longest republic we've had. We've had democracy now since 1999, 26 years. If you go back to the days of independence, there's been no republic that has been this long. So it shows that the people have embraced democracy. They've come to it's part of us now. They've come to enjoy it. Yes, there are hiccups in terms of the fact that we could do a lot better in terms of how we implement things. But in terms of the people yearning for democracy and imbibing it, I think we've done very well. And what we just need to do is just to try and perfect it. One of the ways, like I said much earlier, is to perhaps take a second look at the Constitution, see where areas where we can improve, and try and make people happy, and at the same time reduce the cost of governance. But I don't think democracy is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay.
are going to have increase in the number of facilities that we would visit in the year 2025 by 30%, that would have improved compliance and enhancement of data-driven decision making using data analytics. That we're going to strengthen collaboration between our partners, and we're going to have 25% increase in our compliance rates by carrying out the key strategies. We want to expand our monitoring coverage. We want to enhance our digital infrastructure by integrating a secure online pathway. We also want to include the e-learning platform and our mobile platforms on the digital infrastructure. We want to strengthen our community engagement and build capacity of both the farmer staff and our partners. We want to drive innovation and research. This year, we want to carry out research on the quality of care. In doing all of this, we want to make the health facilities in Lagos safer by leveraging on technology and ensuring that all our processes are data-driven. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Onoride, Dr. Nibo Shinowo, Dr. Veronica Iwayemi, and Dr. Abiola Idowu. Your Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the Honorable Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako. Taking us further in the comparative study, I want to especially welcome a professor and consultant medical parasitologist at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos. He coordinates the International Malaria Microscopy RDT Quality Assurance Center, as well as the country's World Health Organization malaria specimen collection sites in the College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's put our hands together for Professor Wellington Oyibo for a very short comparative study. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, Executive Governor of Lagos State, the Honorable Minister of Health, here represented here by the Minister of State for Health. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, this is historic for us. This is a path we have planned, prayed for, and we are happy that this is happening. Mr. Governor, thank you for all you and for making this happen myself. I'm so happy and grateful to the Honorable Commissioner of Health. He has told the story. So I'm going to build on those stories as I make this presentation. We don't have much time. And part of the whole thing is the advances that Lagos State has made for over 2 decades. The world is hearing it, and the distinct nature of this project through the impact project itself, which is calibrated around the impacts that this project will be again for Lagos State. My slide, please. So what we know about malaria, in the 15th century, why was it called malaria? It was called malaria because the cause of that fever illness was not known. And it was connected to marshy waters. So malaria in Greek is foul. And that was all they could do. And it took some another 100 years before it was connected to mosquito bites. And today we are talking about fever. And say all fevers are malaria. So are we going to the 15th century? And this is what we're trying to really unbundle in Lagos as 16 over 50 million people. My slides. So if fever is still malaria, we go back to the 15th century. And then, of course, for evidence base, meant that we will have to quickly provide the evidence. Can I have the slide up? Yes. So the horrible complaint of school is out from here. Okay, good. So I've given this background. Most health workers will not accept the test results when it's negative. And that's the challenge. Next slide, please. Okay, and if you don't have data, which we are talking about digitization, you cannot calibrate where you are. And so if we look at the entire program and the plan of the projects, is to see that real-time data is available and that tests are done. And when the test is done, we can say quickly, cost-effectively, this is where we are. Because you can rely on routine data. The country do not have quality data, and that's the challenge. Next slide. So, low confidence in the test. Basic things are being used. Lagos making progress. How do we handle this? 94 to 96% of the reporting for malaria in the DHIS that categorizes states and Nigeria comes from the primary healthcare center, and this from the public sector. It's important to recognize this. Next slide. And we're bringing this on board because we provide the quality platform for quality diagnosis at the College of Medicine. Next slide. And we do all of this carefully to ensure that these tests are good to be used for humans. Next slide. And what is known? Please just keep on going on the slide because I'll just go through them. There are changes in Nigeria in terms of malaria epidemiology. Next slide. And then we see from the 2021 malaria indicator survey where Lagos is. Next slide. And you can see where we are here at 2.6% hopeful. And next slide. Good progress. And we're talking about the path for pre-elimination. We are on that path. And we are happy that this is being mentioned here today. And like I said, this signature. And in line with the stratification strategy and subnational tailoring by WHO. So we are quite on course on this. Next slide. And then you can see the different tests available. You can keep on hitting enter. You have microscopy that is powered by a human being. And then you have this rapid diagnostic test that is technology. But somehow we refuse to accept technology and we stay with humans with all the challenges. So that's what you see with microscopy. Just keep on pressing enter and all of this. And this is the test 15 minutes. The result is out. The other one will take any time. It will be 1 day. And then based on that, we have done the scoping assessment of facility in Lagos.
Recent times, cosmetic clinics. So we're finding it difficult. We have limited capacity to ensure monitoring of these facilities. We also have inefficient manual processes because our digital platform is unable to carry out some of the processes in the agency. We're sitting on a lot of data in the agency.
With AI to make sure that the test is actually having the results that the pharmacy or PPMP says it does. We then verify that the treatment, the appropriate treatment. And then in the impact program, we to the public health system for malaria-negative patients to ensure that they're getting the proper diagnosis that they need and have a better understanding of what other febrile illnesses patients might have. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so I'll just talk briefly about all of the other partners that are working on this as well. So we are working closely, of course, with the Lagos State Ministry of Health, which envisioned this work and brought us in to support on this, with NMEP, which is overseeing the work and providing technical oversight, with WHO, which is providing, again, technical support and facilitation, and then importantly with our private sector partners as well, so PCN, which is doing quite a bit of the regulatory oversight and ensuring the quality of care in a pharmacy setting, with SFH, which is enabling the supply chain, and then of course with LASHMA, which is to go quickly into the final results on why this is improved quality of care. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So The work is providing network expansion, innovative financing, integrated health systems, supply chain resilience, comparative research, and regulatory reform, leveraging all of these different partners that we've mentioned to ensure that patients are able to access quality care, and that the data is being provided back to Lagos State to help improve regulatory support, policy, and other things. I've mentioned the partners that we have here already, but we're very grateful for all of the work that they are providing to ensure that there's quality of care in the private sector. And then finally, one final slide. To reinforce what Dr. Wellington said earlier, the work that is being done is also to be supporting with testing, understanding the difference between rapid tests and microscopy, to support on policy reform to ensure that rapid tests are always done before treatment for malaria in Lagos State. Thank you all so much, and we're very excited to be a part of this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jessica Venon, the CEO, MyShaMeds. Ladies and gentlemen, taking us further, Nina Ogunlafo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, sir. We're very happy that this is happening today. So just permit me to do something unique in terms of our focus for malaria control in Nigeria. To do this, I will call on Dr. Dao, Country Director for Souq. We're going to have the Honorable Minister being tested for malaria. Honorable Minister, please. Thank you very much. This is showcasing the main focus for malaria control in Nigeria, which we refer to as the 3 T's. Your Excellency, the first T stands for tests. We cannot overemphasize or we cannot underscore the importance of that. The second T, sir, is for treatment. Cannot have His Excellency and the Minister of Health standing for long, so once we take their samples, we're going to have them seated again. So can I have Dr. Walter on stage to come and quality check what is happening, sir, please? Thank you very much.
We are witnessing leadership by example. leadership by example by Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, as well as the Honorable Minister of State for Health, Dr. Salako. Please, let's appreciate them. That is the way to go for every one of us all.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. So again, this is the way to go for malaria control program in Nigeria. The pre-elimination in Nigeria could commence in phases. We could commence pre-elimination in Nigeria in phases. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you. So back to the fourth bullet on my slide. Your Excellencies, pre-elimination in Nigeria could be commenced in phases. It could start with the states, Lagos State, for example, and we could go geopolitical zones. So I was sitting with my sister, the Commissioner of Health from Ogun State. So the fever for pre-elimination have started. So I also want to say that it stands on Lagos State to make sure that this pathway for pre-elimination is properly done. The National Malaria Elimination Program is waiting to take the experiences and the processes that Lagos will use to achieve elimination to be replicated in other states. Your Excellencies, it's important to note that right now we have a couple of states under 10% prevalence in the country, and those states are Anambra, Kwara, and Rivers State. So what is happening in Lagos that has been flagged off today, it's like NMEP, it's poised to take what these processes and experiences are to states like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma. Let's appreciate her. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Governor, sir, Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, who has been ably represented here today by the Honorable Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako. A round of applause for him, please.
Your Excellency, the excellent Governor of the Center of Excellence, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. I must recognize my brother, who is one who has summoned all of us here today, the Honorable Commissioner for Health for Lagos State. And all members of the Lagos State Cabinet here present, our partners, WHO, World Bank, distinguished stakeholders in the health sector, gentlemen of the press. Because of time, let me say all protocols to be extended. We cannot keep the governor for malaria alone. He has to attend to water, to road, to several other things. So I will shorten my speech, but I must say that today I'm wearing two caps. You may not see it physically. Standing in for myself, and also standing in for my brother, the coordinating minister for health and social welfare, Professor Pate, who is unable to attend because of other assignments. And I'm most delighted to be at this auspicious occasion of the launch of the Pathway to Malaria Pre-Elimination and Digitization Program in the Center of Excellence, Lagos State, led by His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. I recall that Lagos State pioneered intensive malaria case management in the early 2000s through the Eco-Free Malaria Initiative under the leadership of now our President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then Governor. I am most delighted to be here today to be part of another pioneering initiative now under Governor Babatunde Sanwo-Olu as Lagos State takes the lead in the agenda to end malaria by 2030. Your Excellency, the Federal Minister of Health and Social Welfare is enlisted with this giant stride, which aims to improve malaria diagnosis, case management, and accurate tracking of cases through the integration of digital health solutions in the form of real-time electronic reporting systems, all targeted at further reduction in the burden of malaria and its eventual elimination from our land. This momentous project will not only set a track for malaria elimination in Lagos State, but in Nigeria at large, thereby once again making Lagos State a trailblazer. I want to emphasize that this project is in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the renewed vigor for the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare on the rethinking malaria concept that was launched in April 2024 and is aimed at fast-tracking the malaria elimination goal through strategic shifts. We have continued to make progress in this regard, and the inauguration of the advisory on malaria elimination in Nigeria, Amen, the development of pragmatic costed plan of action, the expansion of permanent healthcare facilities, training of frontline health workers, and the initiation of domestication of affordable medicine facilities for malaria to make malaria treatment more affordable are all testament to the progress we are making. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry is taking these steps in order to reverse the undesirable trend of being the highest burden malaria endemic country globally, accounting for 37% and 31% of cases and deaths, respectively. I am confident that Lagos State possesses the needed attributes that can help drive Nigeria to malaria elimination through such case-setting initiatives like this program. Furthermore, Lagos has been consistently the lowest malaria prevalence state in Nigeria, as evidenced from all the malaria indicator survey conducted in the country, with the most recent result in 2021 showing 2% prevalence, hence indicating a tendency of attaining pre-elimination when concerted and consolidated efforts are put in place. I wish to report that the challenge of let me use this opportunity to call on all stakeholders not to relent on their support towards this impactful intervention, which will contribute significantly to the drive at eliminating malaria from the world. Nigeria is ever committed to this drive and we will continue to toe the path of global best practices. I wish to assure all Nigerians and our partners that the change in the policy of the United States government with respect to global health funding will not adversely affect our malaria elimination programs and other public health initiatives, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR has approved a robust mechanism to ensure adequate and cost-effective funding for our public health programs. I call on all state governments to join hands with the federal government to ensure that our country becomes self-sustaining in the funding of our public health programs. Before I end this address, let me commend once again and appreciate His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and his health team, led by Professor Akin Abayomi, for initiating and executing this laudable innovative project. I wish to also sincerely appreciate all the partners, World Bank, WHO, all the implementers, especially for providing the needed human resources, technical support, and the funding for the implementation of this initiative. I wish all of us a successful launch of this impactful project as a springboard for the elimination of malaria from our country. Thank you, and God bless the federal government.
Distinguished invited guests, Your Excellencies, Honorable Minister of State, have your results. Pleased to say that Honorable Minister of State not be confining you in a bed in Lagos. Your result is negative. Indeed, when patients go to clinics and the doctors tell you that they've performed a test, it is your responsibility as a patient to see the test. Please ask for the test and take a picture of it and have a record on your phone. My governor, the Excellency of Lagos State, I'm pleased to tell you that you may continue with your duties. Congratulations, sir. Your test is negative, in line with the low prevalence of malaria in Lagos as well. Chart a course to pre-elimination. Thank you very much for your support, both the Honorable Minister and our Governor and members of the Lagos State Executive Council. Mr. Governor, if you would like to approach the podium to give your keynote and to launch a pathway to malaria elimination in Lagos.
A practitioner himself and a strong politician, Dr. Thank you very much for finding out. Members of the State Executive Council, especially Professor Akin Abayomi, and Special Advisor on Health. Thank you very much. Other cabinet members, all the permanent secretaries in the Health Ministry, and several of you that are here. Thank you very much for taking out time. The Country Director for the World Bank, Dr. Diop, the Country Representative for the WHO, Dr. Walter, all of our partners that are here, MyShamed, Impact, SFH, the National Malaria Organization, our friends from our neighboring state, the Honorable Commissioner for Health in Ogun State, thank you. All of our health practitioners, the stakeholders that are here, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. When you are asked to come forward and conduct a test that you did not psych yourself for, what will happen is you quickly your brain will raise back and say, have I been feeling unwell? What is going to happen? It just brought us back 5 years during COVID, and they said that they're going to do a COVID test. It was like, the heart was going to open and you don't know what will be the outcome. But you see, it's an important activity that we need to continue to subject ourselves to. You might think it's a simple thing, but it's so important. And that ability for you to come forward, if it has turned positive, what it will have just meant is that we need to make a treatment. It's not a death penalty, but it's really just for all of us to know that we need to do this thing and we need to be able to come forward transparently at all times and let us end all of these things that we don't want again in our sight. Thank you very much. And so it's an honor that I stand before all of you in this room are very strategic to launch the first in the country, another Lagos first, the pathway to malaria pre-elimination and digitalization program. We're here to affirm our commitment to safeguarding lives and the livelihood of every Lagosian. Malaria is more than a disease. It's a social-economic burden that has held back individuals, it has held back families and communities for such a long time. It robs us of our productivity, it drains us of our household incomes. And for many households in Lagos, especially those modest earners, malaria, the name it alone brings shivers. It reduces their earning and reduces their ability to continue to earn more for their family. And so this financial strain often affects families and a lot of times causes heartbreaks and the rest of it. But we're here to put a stop or to even bring a voice to the step at which we want to eliminate that completely. It has affected school children from going to school, it has affected businesses, it
It has seen a whole lot of absenteeism and a lot of challenges in our society for several decades. But today, we have to change all of that narrative. The eradication of malaria is not just a good health news. It is indeed an economic imperative. It's a good news that all of us must beat our chest and be able to carry, if there's a P, that we need to have, a pre-elimination, the campaign for it, we need to have it, and we need to be able to dot it everywhere. We know from statistics how much malaria has cost our GDP, billions and billions of dollars. Imagine what Lagos could achieve with a lot of resources if we're able to eliminate all of this. We no longer have to choose between survival and opportunity. Imagine a Lagos where every child can attend school uninterrupted because of ill health, or an adult can contribute fully to the economy. And one thing that is instructive was the demonstration of the slide by Professor Akiambam, and I saw others as well. I can see that Prof already has a side job in animation and cartooning. It's a job that he can conveniently dive into. And the narratives were very clear. But the message was very, very transparently done. And all of us, in one form or the other, are guilty of this. You feel unwell, you think you have a fever, the next thing is you are diagnosing yourself with malaria. Very easy. Just give me injection. Just give me this tablet. I know what it is. We are all, self-diagnosing ourselves and self-telling ourselves that that is what it can only be and that is what it is. So just give us. But we can see that with knowledge and with communication, a lot of all of those negative things, you can rewrite them. And so this program represents a hope rooted on innovation, collaboration, and determination by leveraging digital tools that will ensure that every malaria case is tracked in real time. This is digital. Long are those days when you need to take a whole full blood from your body to just do a simple malaria test. I was asking for my bottle of Mortina, because those days when they take your blood test, they must replenish it with a bottle of Mortina. But you can see that with just a small prick, and in no time you can actually, that's what digital life, has done. And so it has helped us by strengthening partnership with the private sector. We will expand access for quality care. It will help communities to have the knowledge and resource. It will build a culture of preventing that leaves no one behind. And that's a message we need to come out of from here. All of us sitting in this room must immediately turn ourselves into an advocate, into a cheerleader, to be able to carry this message forward, to be able to tell everybody that needs to know. Go into our communities, pass on this message that this pre-elimination launch program has started, and it's for all of us to see it, to buy into it, and to work with it. The benefit of eradicating malaria goes beyond just health. The malaria-free Lagos, and indeed in future, the malaria-free Nigeria is achievable in our time. And we've all put our minds to it, something that could be done. We believe that if we can eliminate it, it will increase productivity, it will improve educational outcomes from our children, it will reduce considerably our health costs. It would also enhance quality of life. All of these points speaks to a better livability standards, in all indices. And so this vision, though ambitious, I believe is achievable. It requires, therefore, all of us, government agencies, healthcare practitioners, healthcare providers, community leaders, development partners, and indeed all citizens, to work together with an unwavering resolve. Success will not come overnight, but will be sustained effort and collaborative action. We will prevail. You saw the slides that a farmer and the lady on malaria and the lady on immunization. You saw the statistics between January and February, what the run rate should be. Yes, we could say that, this is just March, but we need to be able to double those numbers. We need to push those numbers to be able to achieve the 2025 target. We need to be able to push push and achieve, because there's no magic to it. If your target is 2 million and at the end of February we are still doing less than 200,000, we are doing far less. So you need to double, your spike shoes. You need to work harder, twice as much for you to achieve the 2025 record. And Doctor told us, Prof told us from WHO that it's 2025, they are going to close the envelope. Hello? Yes, they said they are going to close it. And there's a 20, where is it? I thought it was, they're going to close it. Our target is that we have to take that $20 million. We have to do everything to reach what our we'll meet the criteria very quickly. Because if it's something that we all say we want to do, then everybody must be on the same page. And I want to commend the farmers and all the ladies that came forward transparently to show us those data. And what we need to do is we don't need to wait in October before we now cry. We need to be able to track this thing on a month-on-month basis. So I want to thank all of you. I want to thank our partners, the World Health Organization, the World Bank, the National Malaria Elimination Program. Our community pharmacists are here. All of our pharmaceutical associations are here. Thank you very much. Our various private and public hospitals, and all of you that are here for your valuable support and making this initiative positive. Of course, permit me to thank in absentia our very hardworking Honorable Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Al-Pate. Our best regards and our best wishes to him. We know all of the things that he has brought about in his tenure as the Honorable Minister of Health. We wish him well. We are also tracking and monitoring, all of his deliverables so that we can say at the end of the day, in your time, you did all of this. And to also thank the Honorable Minister of State for cooperating and operations with the Honorable Minister. We believe that if you do all of these things and you do them well, your time, your time in that ministry will be written in gold, and Nigerians will forever be grateful, because we know that you are pushing everything to ensure that we save over 1 million lives, and you're doing so many things, so many big health initiatives. I want to wish you well. To Dr. Diop, our country director for the World Bank, thank you for your invaluable support at all times, funding your technical assistance. We believe it will continue to catalyze our health initiative. To our country director on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mr. Uche, whose organization's investment has been pivotal to malaria control. Say a big thank you. Dr. Walter, our WHO country representative, we believe that your expertise and your advocacy capacity has helped us to push this forward. Thank you very much. To all of our partners, Marshall Mets, who I met last week, I did promise, I said I'll be here in person. And to all of our other partners, please, let's see this as a start to work. It's only when we achieve what we have set for ourselves that we have done the job. They don't pay people for attempts. They pay people for results. And it's the result that is important. It's the result that takes us to that final breathing point in which we all can say that, yes, we've done our best, we've contributed what we needed, and we've seen the results. I believe that we have everything to make it work. We believe we have all it takes to eliminate malaria completely in Lagos State. I want to congratulate our own Ministry of Health. Congratulating ourselves is telling you that you have a lot more to do, Prof, and all of you. But I will be watching, and I will do everything to continue to encourage you. And as a demonstration of that encouragement, I was whispering to Prof that I will also do something different. I will be promoting Dr. Idu as a permanent secretary. Twice as much. All the very hard work you're doing. To my fellow Lagosians, fight belongs to each of us. Let us embrace a preventive measure like eliminating mosquitoes, adapt, test before treatment, that we can pass this message. Test before treatment. It is so important that we do not just take this for granted. Let us ensure that we can take this advocacy into our communities, into our nooks and crannies, and show truly that once we have started this campaign in Lagos, we will go around every part of the city. We can rewrite the history of malaria in Lagos, and it's in our hands. It's all of us in this room that can help. I want to wish you all the very best, and I believe that when we work together, there's nothing, there's absolutely nothing that we cannot achieve together. Thank you very much.
Mr. Governor, sir, may I take your indulgence,
She thought I really didn't like her. She was frowning her face one day. It was between her eye and her eye. This pre-elimination launch of malaria from Lagos State. Pathway to malaria pre-admission and sterilization program in Lagos. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Governor, sir, may I crave your indulgence to quickly invite this Honorable Commissioner for Health, Special Advisor on Health and Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, to join you for the first photo op.
we are done. So we are inviting all the permanent secretaries in Lagos State to join the executive governor, actors from the Federal Ministry of Health, all the directors that have accompanied the Minister of State for Health, all the directors in the Federal Ministry.
The world of business is one filled with men and women willing to dine with risk. And when we seek African business shapers, we see individuals who have denied self to build conglomerates. From controlling over 90% of diesel trade in Nigeria to almost throwing in the towel, then getting on the Forbes list, we present Olufemi Peter Otedola. The Nigerian businessman and philanthropist was born in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, on the 4th of November, 1962, into the family of late Sir Michael Otedola, the governor of Lagos State from 1992 to 1993. The University of Lagos Staff School, Akuka, welcomed Olufemi for his primary education and secondary education at Olivet Baptist High School, Oyo. Olufemi proceeded to Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife, for his first degree, graduated and joined the family printing press business, working hard and gaining experience. Femi Otedola ventured out starting Center Force Limited. The company focused on finance, investment, and trading. The oil and gas sector was Femi Otedola's next port of call. From quite a very humble beginning in the oil and gas sector, utilizing the connections and networks of family and friends, he cultivated partnerships in diesel supply chain. Him being the last man to the final consumer. Challenges breed opportunities, and in Femi's case, it was a late delivery of diesel from his supplier with a broken truck, and he caught the idea. He could do better and provide better services. He ventured into diesel supply business, buying diesel from a retailer and supplying to companies. Femi Otedola encountered several difficulties securing his supply and timely meeting the demands of his growing clients. This definitely was an opportunity he identified in the fuel retail market. Otedola secured the finance, and Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited was born, petroleum products marketing and distribution company. Otedola, owner and chairman of Zenon, in 2004 invested 15 billion naira in downstream infrastructure development and acquired storage depots at Ibadan, Apapa, as well as 4 cargo vessels, amounting to a combined total storage capacity of 147,000 metric tons. Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited also acquired a fleet of 100 DAF fuel tanker trucks. By 2005, Zenon controlled a major share of the Nigerian diesel market, supplying fuel to most of the major manufacturers in the country, including Dangote Group, Cadbury, Coca-Cola, Nigerian Breweries, MTN, Unilever, Nestle, and Guinness. Zenon Petroleum and Gas was the name on major invoices, and Femi Otedola the name on every lips, playing toe-to-toe with major multinationals. Zenon, in a very short period, silenced the competition and almost unilaterally determined the price of diesel in Nigeria. The competitors came to Zenon for supply. Femi Otedola, with the massive success Zenon Petroleum and Gas achieved, bought a 28.7% stake in African Petroleum. Otedola branched into the financial sector and aggressively stocked up the shares of leading financial houses. He became a top shareholder in Zenith Bank, United Bank for Africa, and the largest importer of diesel in Nigeria. He acquired major shares of Africa's Finance Corporation, Mobile Oil Nigeria Limited, Chevron Texaco, and Visa Phone. Otedola has his hands deep in real estate investments, including an acquisition in February 2007 by Zenon of Starling House in Victoria Island, Lagos from the federal government. Lagos, London, Dubai, Monaco all have the signatures of FO Property Limited. He was appointed chairman of the Transcorp Hilton Hotel Abuja and tasked with driving its expansion and upgraded to a 7-star facility. Otedola has served as a member of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council since 2004, was appointed by President Goodluck Jonathan to Nigeria's National Economic Management Team. Otedola is chief executive and president of the Seaforth Shipping Company Limited and was at one point Nigeria's largest ship owner after extending control over the distribution of diesel products. One of his ships, a flat-bottom bunker vessel with a storage capacity of 16,000 metric tons, was the first of its kind in Africa. In January 2006, Otedola was appointed a non-executive director of Transnational Corporation of Nigeria PLC, a multi-sectoral conglomerate established in 2004 by then President Olusegun Obasanjo to respond to market opportunities requiring heavy capital investment in Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa. He held this post until February 2011. Otedola was appointed chairman and chief executive of African Petroleum in 2007 through the acquisition of controlling stake in the business. Following Otedola's entry into the company, African Petroleum share price rose sharply, increasing the market capitalization from 36 billion to 217 billion naira in 6 months. In March 2009, Otedola became the second Nigerian after Aliko Dangote to appear on the Forbes list of dollar-denominated billionaires with an estimated net worth of $1.2 billion. Otedola announced the move to upgrade African Petroleum's liquefied petroleum gas storage terminals in Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt in October 2009. Harsh economic conditions necessitated by the slump in the oil prices and credit squeeze of 2008-09 led African Petroleum to record a loss in 2009. With the world oil price crash came difficult moments for Zenon and Otedola. He was very close to complete bankruptcy.
I said to myself, I was not going to have friends and enemies. I was going to have only competitors. I had two options: commit suicide or weather the storm.
African Petroleum, rebranded in December 2010, changed its name to Fort Oil PLC. Otedola paid his near $1 billion debt and invested in the financial industry, making him a top shareholder in Zenith Bank and United Bank for Africa. Otedola restructured the business, focusing on technology and improved corporate governance. And in 2012, Fort Oil returned to profit. Otedola financed 57% of Fort Oil subsidiary, Amperion Limited, which acquired the 414 megawatt Girigu power plant for $232 million in 2013. Fort Oil improved financial position and diversification into power generation resulted in a 1,321% rise in its share price. The first half of 2014 saw the company's pre-tax profit more than double year on year to 4.1 billion naira. Revenue growth for the whole year was 33%. Fort Oil sold 70% of its equity to Swiss commodity trader Mercuria Energy Group in September 2015, giving Fort access to global commodity markets. The deal was thought to have given Otedola an estimated $200 million. In 2019, Femi Otedola sold Fort Oil PLC and announced plans to change focus from oil to power with his company, Girigu Power PLC. Girigu Power PLC became the first power generation company to list on Nigerian Stock Exchange, demonstrating to stakeholders in the sector how they can fix financing and make profits sustainably. The company's market capitalization is now 726.75 billion naira, and the share price now 290.7 naira from the 2.5 billion shares that were listed at 100 naira each. Otedola, the chairman of Girigu Power, sold down a Girigu stake to bring on institutional investors. In October 2021, Femi Otedola was announced as the single largest shareholder of First Bank PLC. FBN Holdings, the parent company of First Bank Limited, witnessed a commendable 437.9 billion naira surge in market capitalization. FBN Holdings appointed billionaire Femi Otedola as the new chairman of its board of directors, effective January 31st, 2024. Femi Otedola has had its share of controversies. Zenon was among the number of companies named in an alleged fuel subsidy scam report. This was followed by a case against Farouk Lawan for bribery. Otedola has also lost in the ever-evolving competing space of business acquisitions. Transcorp and Huheli Power Plant are two notable projects he closely bidded and lost. Femi Otedola philanthropy is quite remarkable. Otedola made a 300 million naira donation to the completion of the National Ecumenical Center in Abuja. In 2007, he gave 200 million to the State Security Trust Fund in a drive to reduce crime in Lagos. Donated 100 million naira to the Otedola College of Primary Education in Ekpe. In 2008, he donated 80 million to the Faculty of Agriculture at the University of Port Harcourt. Femi Otedola pledged and redeemed $25,000 to the Super Eagles in the match against Algeria in 2019 AFCON. He gave all 750 students of Augustine University 1 million naira each. Otedola sits comfortably on the Forbes billionaires list of top 20 richest people in Africa. Femi Otedola is married to Mrs. Nana Otedola and have 4 children: Olawumi Christy Tolani, Florence Ifeoluwa, Elizabeth Temi, and Fewa Otedola. Olufemi Peter Otedola is a standout astute business executive.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of these and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to Souq News Television, and we are reaching you live from our studios in the commercial city of Lagos. I'm Oyimpriye Krumale. Let's begin. The federal government has renewed its commitment to revitalizing Nigeria's steel industry with an inspection of Premium Steel and Mines Limited in Onwea, Alaja, Delta State. The company, formerly known as Delta Steel Company, was once a major hub for steel production in Nigeria before it became inactive, leading to inspection was the Minister of Steel Development, Shaibu Audu, who stated that President Bola Tinubu had given a clear mandate to restore key steel assets across the country. According to Audu, the revival of these assets will support job creation, industrial growth, and economic stability. The minister emphasized that the Premium Steel plant, a once thriving symbol of national industrial strength, is expected to produce over 5,000 direct and 10,000 indirect jobs once fully operational. He assured that all obstacles to the plant's revival will be addressed swiftly under the new directive. Now, the Nigerian stock market rose by over 64% between July last year and June this year, closing at 100,057 points. According to the funds managers' reports of the Nigerian exchange, the growth came from renewed interest by local and foreign investors, backed by strong earnings from major companies. The industrial goods sector led with a return of nearly 89%, mainly due to Dangote cement, oil and gas, followed with about 83% driven by Seplat, Total Energies, and Oando. Fast-moving consumer goods rose by around 76%, helped by interest in Bua Foods, Dangote Sugar, Flour Mills, and Honeywell Insurance. Now, insurance stocks also gained over 38%, while banks recorded over 20% growth Although the market improved, inflation rose sharply to over 34% by June this year. This led to the Central Bank of Nigeria to raise interest rates 3 times, reaching over 26%. Nigeria's economy grew by about 2.7% last year, falling short of its target. The fund manager said the plan to focus on stronger sectors to manage risks from inflation, high interest rates, and foreign exchange challenges are part of the problem. Now, Dangote Group has announced a multi-billion naira agricultural partnership with the Niger state government to boost rice production and enhance Nigeria's food security. The senior special advisor to the president of Dangote Group, Fatima Abdulrahman, made the disclosure at the opening of the 2025 Niger National Trade Fair in Mina, the state capital. Abdulrahman revealed that the company is investing in a 32 metric tons per hour rice mill in Wushishi, located on a 30-hectare site. The high-tech mill, which is part of the Niger Food Initiative, includes 32 silos for rice storage, a 5.8 megawatt power plant, and support for local farmers through input supply and full produce offtake. The facility is expected to boost rice output, reduce post-harvest losses, and strengthen the agricultural value chain. Officials from both the federal and state governments raised the project, highlighting its role in job creation and agricultural transformation in line with the national development goals. And now the Lagos state government has announced that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration is set to deliver a total of 14,022 home units to residents by the end of its ongoing housing projects. Commissioner for Housing, Maruf Akinderu Fatai, made this known during a ministerial press briefing held to mark the governor's second year in office. So far, 9,917 housing units have been completed across 21 estates, including the recently commissioned Igondo Mixed Housing Estate Cluster 1 with 270 units, 5 new schemes across Ekbe, Etiosa, Badagry, Igbogbo Bayeku, and Igondo K2, totaling 1,828 units. The various stages of construction and expected to be completed between 2025 and 2026. Additionally, the Lagos State Development and Property Corporations has delivered 710 homes in the past 6 years and is currently developing 25 projects that will produce 2,415 more units. The commissioner reaffirmed the state's commitment to increasing access to affordable housing through direct funding and public-private partnerships. Now, Nigeria's fulfillment of foreign trade transactions through letters of credit increased by 3.68% year-on-year to $267.96 million in the first 4 months of 2025, up from $258.46 million in the same period of 2024. The Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed this data on its website, highlighting a modest growth in international trade payments. Letters of credit, which are bank guarantees ensuring exporters receive payments after shipment, are essential for import transactions. Monthly figures showed fluctuations, with the highest volume of $95.59 million in February 2025 and a low of $43.53 million in March. These movements reflect the mixed trade environment amid improving foreign exchange access for Nigerian importers. Nigeria spent over $2 billion on external debt repayments in the first 4 months of 2025, a 50% increase from last year. This significant outflow pressures foreign reserves, which remain robust at $38.56 billion. Economic experts warn that the rising debt service costs may challenge the sustainability of Nigeria's trade finance recovery, according to reports. Now, after the foreign scene, President Donald Trump backed away from imposing a 50% tariffs on European Union imports next month, agreeing on Sunday to extend trade talks until July 9. Trump had initially said that it enforced the tariffs on June 1st due to slow progress in negotiations with the 27-nation bloc. The extension came after a phone call with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who requested more time to reach an agreement. Trump agreed, saying they had a very nice call and hoped to resolve issues quickly. Von der Leyen confirmed the European Union was ready to move swiftly and decisively to finalize a deal. The decision eased financial market tensions with the euro and the United States dollar, strengthening against safe haven currencies. Many thanks for watching, and do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. Coming up shortly is Just Africa. Do stay with us.
This is The Isle, 104.9 FM.
104.9 Isle FM.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
According to the former UBA Group Managing Director, Mr. Kennedy Uzoka, he's a man that knows it all. Also, another described him as an encyclopedia of knowledge. The both are now farther from the truth of a man whose career has spanned over 4 decades, being part of a dozen organizations in both the banking and manufacturing sectors. Serving in different capacities as either a director, board member, or chairman of organizations such as Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, PZ Cussons PLC, Nigerian Breweries PLC, and the United Bank for Africa PLC. In the same vein, he also had some link with the British American Tobacco Nigerian Foundation and Nutrisima Limited. He was once the president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, where he clamored for the patronization of local content by all well-meaning Nigerians. Also, he served as chairman of the former Universal Trust Bank plc (UTB) before the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo implemented the recapitalization of banks in Nigeria. Born Kolawole Babalola Jamodu on February 9, 1944 in Odo Ere, Yagba West local government area of the present Kogi State. Kola Jamodu attended St. Paul's Primary School in City College from 1958 to 1961. Harvard Business School, Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America from 1986 to 1987. His mother was Mrs. Fumi Olabinwonu. Not much was known about his father. At an early age, Kolawole showed an uncanny drive for knowledge and learning, which will form a greater part of his adult life. His rise to fame hasn't been without its peculiar episodes of challenges. He started his career with the United African Company of Nigeria, UACN, in 1962. 3 years later, he moved to Lever Brothers Nigeria Limited, now Unilever Nigeria PLC, and in 1965, where he received many years of experience of over 10 years in production, commerce, and finance. He later joined PZ Customs Group in 1975 as a group accountant. Chief Kolawole Jamodu, for many who work closely with him, is a go-getter, both in the business arena and an exemplary leader in achieving the corporate governance with a litany of portfolios in diverse sectors. He's a trailblazer practically in many areas. He was the first Nigerian to be appointed as Group Finance Director at PZ. In 1980, he was appointed Chairman, PZ Nigeria Limited, then a trading subsidiary of the PZ Group, while still holding his position as a PZ Group Financial Director. In 1987, he became the first Nigerian Deputy Group Chief Executive, and in 1990, he became the first Nigerian Group Chief Executive of PZ Customs. Still in 1990, he was appointed Chairman of PZ Customs PLC, becoming the first Nigerian to combine the positions of a Chairman and Chief Executive. He, in 1999, after he had served in that capacity for many years, meritoriously retired but remained on the PZ Board of Directors as Chairman in a non-executive capacity. Known for his strategic touch of class, Take Two, although his first appointment as Executive Chairman of PZ Customs was interrupted by his appointment as Minister of Industry in 2001, when PZ went through a tumultuous season in 2013, when revenue nosedived and profit hemorrhaged. Kola Jamodu was on every shareholder's lips, underscoring the confidence reposed in his ability to provide effective leadership hitherto wanting for the company at that time. Known for his knack for having the right strategy to grow business in a difficult market. In his capacity as chairman of Nigerian Breweries PLC, Kola Jamodu led the strategic investment and acquisition that have enabled Nigerian breweries seize key markets from competitors, positioning the company to maintain leading market share, moderate operating costs, and grow wealth for shareholders. In 2014, Nigerian Breweries acquired Consolidated Breweries Limited, with which sales revenue grew by 10% in 2015, even as the total brewed market declined. The company saved cost and defend profit drop in 2015. Jamodu also served as chairman of Universal Trust Bank plc, a director in Ashaka Cement, and a director in Honeywell Flour Mills plc. And also, he's been a director of United Bank of Africa since 2007. He's a fellow of Chartered Institute of Accounting, Nigeria, fellow of Chartered Institute of Management Accounts, London, and fellow of Chartered Institute of Secretaries. The name Jamodu trumpets loud and clear in Nigeria's boardroom leadership, owing to his dedicated work and great accomplishments in building businesses. Jamodu has only been a seeker of new challenges, set to brave and break new grounds. Our key takeaways from his tenure as minister highlighted the introduction of various innovative backward integration policies that enabled self-sufficiency in the production of goods like cement and other staples. These moves led to increased foreign direct investment, job creations, and a major boost to national economy and GDP. Dr. Jamodu, after a hiatus from the private sector, was appointed to numerous board positions with reputable multinational companies in Nigeria. For a start, he was reappointed chairman of United Bank for Africa plc as a non-executive director in 2007. It's worth of note to say that in 2006, Dr. Jamodu was appointed to the board of Nigerian Breweries plc as a non-executive director and later moved to become chairman in 2008, where he served 17 years meritoriously, spending 15 of those years as board chairman, and on April 30, 2023, retired as chairman of the organization, leaving a legacy of growth, innovation, and continuous success. Under his watch, the Nigerian breweries grew in leaps and bounds, strengthened its brand presence, and continued to drive positive change in the Nigerian breweries sector.
What was achieved during my period was a joint effort, because you can't say a leader if there are no followers. There are committees, and these committees are made of members of man.
Chief Dr. Kola Jamodu is a recipient of several national honors, including Member of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, MFR, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, CFR. Also, he's a recipient of the National Productivity Merit Award, NPMA. Additionally, he's a Chartered Global Management Accountant, CGMA, a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Management, London, and Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators. He is also a Distinguished Fellow of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria. During his 4-year stint at the helm of affairs in the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, he served in different capacities like the National Treasurer, Chairman of the Economic Policy Committee, Chairman of the Policy Advocacy Committee, Vice President, and later President from 2010 to 2014. Also, he is the past president of the Harvard Business School Alumni Association of Nigeria, a former president of the Chemical and Non-Metallic Products Employees Foundation, and an honorary member of the Nigerian Industrial Policy and Competitiveness Advisory Council, chaired by the Nigeria's Vice President. He's also served in various capacities such as Member of Council at the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, Member of Council at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, and Distinguished Member of the Board of Fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Management, NIM. He is an active member of Ikoyi Club 1938, Lagos Island Club, Lagos Metropolitan Club, Lagos Motor Boat Club, Moderates Club, and Lagos Dining Club, some of Nigeria's most prestigious social organizations. Not many people, prominent or otherwise, could be suitably described as detribalized nationalists like Dr. Kola Jamodu, whose great likeness for all and sundry cultures and tongues, coupled with his numerous contributions to the growth and development of various communities nationwide, earned him several chieftaincy titles such as Ashiwaju of Ere Kingdom in Kogi State, Are Akbashewa of Ere Land, also in Kogi State, Babalaja of Lagos, Boba Gunwa of Ere Land, Kogi State, Maye Bobajiro of Ibadan Land, Oyo State, Barakoyi of Oshobo Land, Osun State, Mayegun of Ayetoro, Bede, Kogi State, Fiwajoye of Mulipa, Jebu-Ode, Ogun State, Ikemba one of Oba Nsuka, Ari of Eruku Land, Kwara State. Jamodu is nothing short of a legend. Although with limited experience in partisan politics, he stood tall and stepped into the plate when occasion presented itself in Kogi State, when he took leadership of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) as minister, serving in the cabinet of the ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo. In the middle of 2020, Chief Dr. Kola Jamodu served as the pioneer chairman of the Elders Advisory Committee (EAC) of Pan-Okun Relief Response Agenda, which played a pivotal role when the world was faced with the coronavirus, mobilizing resources to provide relief materials for the entire Okun people, as well as address various issues relating to the pandemic in the land. He, through the Kola Jamodu Foundation, KJF scholarships are provided to several poor students through all levels of education, primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, medical support to indigents who have genuine medical conditions but couldn't afford to foot the bill. Chief Kola Babalola Jamodu, over the years, his hobbies have been the same: reading, traveling, golf, and badminton. He is married to his sweetheart, Olori Asiwaju of Ere Kingdom, Chief Mrs. Fumilayo Jamodu, and they are blessed with children and grandchildren. Chief Dr. Kola Babalola Jamodu.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekbetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State, on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor,
building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souq Enlightenment.
Broad Street. Broad Street, situated in Lagos Island, is steeped in Nigerian history. Once the biggest financial hub of the country, it housed the headquarters of major banks, linked the CBN, the stock exchange, and the loads of lender companies. Broad Street is a historically significant street. It has played a central role in the development of Lagos and history, an important commercial and administrative center for the British colonial authorities. It was also a home to some of the city's earliest modern buildings. Broad Street was a residential area in the pre-colonial era. With the British came the Methodist Boys High School in 1878 and the Broad Street Prison in 1882, renamed Freedom Park. The General Hospital, which was a British military hospital, was built in 1893, being the first general hospital in Nigeria. The old British Secretariat building, which is now the Federal Ministry of Justice, was built in 1906. Broad Street has seen a full turn into modern commercial office blocks, complexes, skyscrapers, and markets from the Outer Marina through Akpombo, early into the Adeniji-Adele Road. Broad Street is one of the busiest streets in Nigeria on weekdays, where commercial activities take place day and night. From modern buildings to ancient structures, this street gives one a raw dose of life in Lagos. Broad Street is often referred to as Lagos Financial District. It boasts a mix of architectural styles, reflecting its long history, colonial-era buildings, Victorian and Edwardian architectural features, alongside more modern skyscrapers and structures. Broad Street remains a vital, vibrant part of the Nigerian economy. Broad Street. Souq Enlightenment.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of these and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to Just Africa, where we dive deep into trends shaping our world. And today we will be exploring a critical and timely issue. It is the financial ecosystem reform in Africa, with a spotlight on Kenya and Nigeria. Now, across the continent, the financial landscape is evolving at an extraordinary pace. From the mobile money revolution in East Africa to fintech explosion in West Africa, we are witnessing a digital transformation with the potential to reshape economies and empower millions. And yet, despite these advances, millions of people, especially women, youth, and those in the rural communities, remain excluded from formal financial systems. Access to credit, savings, insurance, and digital repayment solutions is still out of reach for far too many. Financial ecosystem reform is not just a policy matter, it is a catalyst for equitable growth. It is about redesigning the system to serve everyone, not just the privileged few. It is about building inclusive infrastructure, crafting enabling regulations, and fostering innovations that works for the people. Today, we turn our focus to two of Africa's most dynamic economies, Kenya and Nigeria. These nations offer both lessons and opportunity. Kenya, a global pioneer in mobile money, shows what is possible when infrastructure and innovation meet purpose. Nigeria, on the other hand, Africa's most populous country and a fintech powerhouse, represents both the immense potential and complex challenges of building a truly inclusive financial future. So, how do we move from potential to progress? What policies, partnerships, and technologies are needed to make inclusive economic empowerment to make it a reality? Welcome to Just Africa. I am Olumide Shokoya. Of course, I'm not the only one here. I have Krumale Onyepriye. How are you doing? How's your weekend? Happy New Week.
Yes, Happy New Week to you, Olumide. And it's great to be right in the face of Nigerians, Africans, and of course, indeed, all over the world. I had an incredible weekend, but while I was having time for myself during the weekend, I was pondering over the conversation we will be having this morning over the financial inclusion and the reform taking place both in Nigeria and Kenya. And when beaming my searchlight into Kenya, I realized that in 2006,
yes,
only about 26% of Kenyans is, according to the Kenyan Central Bank, where you can be found in the conventional banking system. Just 26% of Kenyans could be looked at as people who are using the formal banking services. But moving forward to 2007, we saw that the Central Bank of Kenya, the Capital Market Authority of Kenya, the Kenyan Bank Association, and the financial sector deepening Kenya, which is a think tank that has joined forces with other financial sector stakeholders to make sure that they deepen and carry out a reform that really bring in financial inclusion to people around Kenya took place. And we realized that by the time they moved from 2007 rather, to 2021, where in 2007 they established the M-Pesa, which is the digital final inclusion tool. M stands for mobile, and the Pesa is the name for money in Swahili language. So it serves as mobile money. And it was introduced in Kenya, and before it's established in 2007, and before they got to 2022, that means in 2021, about 83% of Kenya have been banked, brought into the financial sector. And that sparks off is something we can refer to as what happened during the telecommunication when it came into Nigeria, and how the introduction of telecommunication into the system brought about other innovations into issues like KUDA, the POS, and the OPays, and other mobile money instruments that came into the Nigerian financial space, even though currently they seem to be having loggerheads with the conventional banking system. But it's a good thing, because right now, compared to what used to happen before, in Kenya and in Nigeria, we can see that a whole lot of people are now in the banking system.
Yes. Looking at Nigeria, Nigeria is actually developing when you look at the financial system, looking at fintechs and all that, just like you rightly said, we have OPay, we have MoneyPoint, we have all this. But there seems to be this rancor between the conventional bank and, of course, these fintech. And I remember how there was a rumor about a particular fintech, I'll not mention the name, that they were about to close down, that people should start withdrawing their money and this and that. Then we heard the rumor that it was actually filtered by another bank trying to upturn that fintech. It's a whole lot, but it's good to see that these fintechs, now if you look at how many most people now that I speak to, they rather put their money in these fintechs banks rather than this thing. All right, so we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring in our guest.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of these and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. This is Just Africa. Let's bring in our guest. He is Julius Afolabi. He is a strategy consultant and premium income architect and creator of Designing Your Own Economy Framework. So glad to have you this morning. Welcome to Just Africa.
Good morning, and thank you very much. I hope I'm as
All right, welcome to Just Africa. So we're discussing economic, financial ecosystem reforms in Africa. Can you take us through, first of all, what is the current financial ecosystem in Africa with Kenya and Nigeria as the potential focus?
okay. Currently, in Nigeria, we're seeing financial ecosystem reforms happen from the mobile digital transformation, taking advantage of digital penetration. And we see the same thing happening in Kenya as well. Whenever we say financial ecosystem um, reforms, we're talking about how we can stabilize the economy, provide financial services to the large population of the unbanked. That's basically financial inclusion in all financially related services and ensuring that there is enough empowerment within this ecosystem to be able to stabilize the economy, create resilience, and power up the other areas, other macroeconomic areas. So, but in Kenya, we've seen quite an interesting and amazing stride in terms of mobile money penetration, right, with the M-Pesa, right, M-Pesa, right, so which has done a lot, but still has quite some things to also do. Like in Nigeria, basically, I'll say that we have done very well, but because of low trust and I'll say identity fragmentation, and I'll also include maybe poor implementation, right? And then our policy somersaults. Those are the reasons for our financial inclusion challenges in Nigeria. Nigeria has a higher stake in this financial ecosystem reform and inclusion than in Kenya. Population wise, of course, Nigeria is about almost about 4 times as populated as Kenya. But Kenya has embraced the digital transformation so well, much more than Nigeria. The only challenges that we have in Kenya relate to the demographic um, analysis. If you look at the demographics and if you look at the potentials of the financial inclusion, I mean ecosystem reforms, you find out that there is a gap. You can't have internet access of about 40% or less than 50%, and you have mobile access of over 95% penetration. That gap there is going to create a fracture in implementation and the speed of impact, right? And then you also find out that the digital literacy in Kenya is not um, has not up leveled to be able to accommodate the potential of that financial inclusion revolution that we have in place. And you find out that also in the population of Kenya, you find out that women are almost about 50% of that particular population are much more involved in the economic activities, right? Yet they are micromanaged in the sense that there are certain policies that are working against them. For instance, they don't have property rights, which limits them from placing a collateral to acquire credits that can influence their business. So you see, if you have a particular demography that is responsible for economic growth of the nation, but they are limited in access to funds, you will trap the development, right? So in that aspect, in that area, you find out that there needs to be a policy reform to give women that property access. And also, you find out that there is a skill mismatch in the youth. The youth population is in the neighborhood of about 75, 70, between 70 and 80%, right? That are under 35, according to statistics. Under 35. That's a brilliant and a marvelous demography to be able to penetrate with M-Pesa, right? But you now find out that a lot of the economic activities that take place happen in the rural areas, which do not have the internet access and the infrastructure to take advantage of M-Pesa. So you see, despite uh, the mobile technology penetration, one, the fact that the literacy level is low, the chunk of unbanked capital is large, right? And the ability to be able to access funds for the primary influencers of the economy is not going to help the reforms as it ought to, right? So if you have an informal sector that is almost above 80%, right? And you find out that the unbanked population is about half that informal sector participation. So what do? It creates a gap. Unlike to compare it with Nigeria too. In Nigeria too, it's only in the far north that you will find out that the unbanked or women or gender sensitive issues or access to credit limit their inclusion. So there is the need for policy innovation and reformation that is going to include the population that influences the economic activities. And also, there needs to be technological infrastructure that will aid or penetrate into the areas that require these technology advantage. M-Pesa has good potential, right? Fantastic potential. But until these seemingly little challenges are taken into consideration and addressed, we can get the full benefit of that particular that that project. It's a very laudable project, and Kenya with
Mr. Julius Afolabi, thank you so much. Thank you for that analysis. It's quite incisive. But I want to take your attention to somewhere where it all started and making comparisons with the focus of both Nigeria and Kenya. Back then in 1995, 1997, 1998, we cannot begin to talk about financial inclusion or the banking reforms that will cater to the needs of majority of Nigerians or majority of Kenyans. But something happened. The advent of telecommunication and information technology made us, saw the light and the potential on what Nigerian and other African countries can do when it comes to banking and banking inclusion. The same thing happened in Kenya until Vodafone, an arm of Vodafone, Safaricom in 2007 brought in this M-Pesa to register as mobile money. Then the issue about financial, money inclusion and reform, and we're not really talked about. So in your own words, please, what role did you think that telecommunication played in it by itself to reform and re-engender the system of banking and financial dealings in Africa, in Kenya and in Nigeria?
There is no main contribution we can, if we are to value the impact of telecommunication and information technology in general human reform, it is totally, unquantifiable. Now, since technology, digital revolution is a global effect, and Africa seems to be a deposit and a reservoir of the resources that feed the global economy in one way or the other. We cannot divorce the infiltration of these, technology and telecommunications into the African society. So the impact of telecommunication and technology in banking revolution and financial inclusion in Africa entirely, and the nations of Africa that show particular interest and have a viable population. If you are talking about telecommunications and you're talking about technology, of course, the youth is the center of the agenda. And if we have a very vibrant population who is directly interested in technology and mobile telecommunication and technology, then it will affect every aspect. Money is a central subject. There is virtually nothing that you're going to do in any economy without the input of what? Money. So you see, so that cannot be taken away from them. Do you understand me? That cannot be taken away. So the impact of technology and information technology, which is the rave of the moment globally, right? Of course, you can see the impact on social media. And that's why you are finding out that the traditional banking system needed no any form of chastisement or any form of encouragement to adapt to that, knowing fully well that the population, the fruitful population of its nation or Africa as a continent is resident in that. Check it, look at it very well. If you look at the impact of information technology, it is lying within the youth category, not even the middle class, right? From the ages of 25 downwards, you find out that Technology, you can't divorce them from technology. My 10-year-old daughter can unscramble any device. We had some time ago, about 3 days ago, we had a phone locked. And we didn't know. I was thinking of taking it to an expert to unlock the phone. And with focus and concentration on trying to unlock the phone, she unlocks the phone. So you see, it is naturally, I mean, they are cloned. They are just netizens. So you can't take away that. And if they form the active part of the population, in the schools, who do we find? In job places, why do we find age limits? Because we are looking for agility, even though we are working on their character, right? And concentration and attention, right? But if we're looking at innovation, agility, speed, then it is in the useful population. And you can't separate the bank from it. So the bank had to take cognizance of that demographic influence in order to be able to adapt to them. That's why you find out that the trillionaire banking system now is the fintech. All banks now have a fintech, a fintech aspect, right? And the fintech aspect is what is driving all the activities of that particular bank. So traditional banking is dead. It's digital banking that is now in vogue. And that's why you find even the smaller fintech organizations have higher capitalization than the other established banks, right? So, and that's why you find every bank now creating their fintech aspect to be able to take care of these potentials and these opportunities.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Julius Afolabi. Thank you very much for that. Now, earlier on, when I asked you the first question, you made mention of policy somersault. So can you shed light more on that? You made mention of policy somersault in Nigeria. Also, what role does policy and regulation, what role do they play in enabling or hindering financial inclusion in these both countries, Kenya and Nigeria?
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for that question. For instance, today, if you have a policy reformation in Kenya that gives the liberation for women to own property, right? Look at how far that will go. That will enable them, give them the confidence to approach financial institutions, place their property as collateral, and get loans to invest their business. The gender sensitivity of access to credit is already taken care of. Will no longer become a challenge. Will no longer become. That's the power of policy reforms. Now, when we talk about policy somersault in Nigeria, it is not new. It is like a perennial disease in Nigeria. We rarely fully test run a particular process before we implement. We saw that when we were trying to go cashless, right? We saw the cashless, policy, which had a lot of potential, but because of the timing of implementation, process of implementation, it saw a catastrophe, right? We saw when we were trying to change our currencies, right? Those are policy reforms, right? That could enable or hinder business as it can ground the economy, right? We saw that. So most of the time, Nigeria, despite the enormity and the richness of the resourcefulness of our human capital, we do not stress test, especially, financial policy reforms with the idea and the impact of the deficiency of our information technology infrastructures before we deploy. We feel Nigerians can rough it. Nigerians don't complain, they will cope. Nigerians have this capacity to withstand stress. So we push it to them. We are now working from a reaction. We operate a reactive policy formulation. And that's what makes it a somersault. Until the people begin to react, we will not go back to address what we need to address. So we find out that they have gone silent about many things, right? When the POS, which is supposed to be another form of financial service delivery to enable rural penetration and reach the unbanked, right? Which was a lot of ease in the economy. The policies surrounding it also became what a challenge. Recently, you will see the introduction of charges, right? It's becoming a particular project. Imagine me walking into a shop about 2 weeks ago. I walked into a shop to buy 2 bottles of Sprite, and the POS agent was telling me that you have to charge me for paying. When the POS is supposed to be an instrument for effective business efficiency on its own part, am I supposed, as a consumer, supposed to pay charges for buying from him? And the man said, we charge trickle to them. So these are the things, these are the at the local level. This is at the local level. So we don't make macroeconomic reforms without proper analysis of microeconomic effects. So this is where our gap is in policy somersault in Nigeria. That requires what? A proper sit down to check what the stress test, comparing, looking into our power deficiency, our infrastructural deficiency, educational, our skill, financial literacy, and educational mismatch or gap. In Kenya, that is a particular problem. There is need for mainstream financial literacy education in Kenya if it must see the progress that it wants. In Nigeria, we need infrastructural liberation, right? For institutions and economies. I'll say, there are businesses in Nigeria that have created their own economy. They generate their own power. They generate their own infrastructure. And you find out that they become a nation in a nation. Schools like that, right? Businesses like that. So they are developing independent infrastructural ability to be able to drive the economy within the economy. So we have people developing their own economy within the economy because of national neglect of this infrastructural robustness to accommodate everybody. So that's why we have policy somersault in Nigeria. Now, if you go back to Kenya again, you find out that they have devolved funds, right? Forgetting the name of that, they are devolved funds, right? Now, what is the impact assessment of that fund, right? Is it reaching the people that it's supposed to reach? And what are the policies surrounding how well they are annexed? If you go to Bangladesh, you see microfinance is the center of the economic stability of Bangladesh through what? Microfinance, right? And which is dominated largely by women and, village cooperative societies, right? They have understood their demography. They understand the principal players in the economy. They adapt their technology and their policies to those drivers in order to experience what they have to do. You can see it is easy for them to have digital IDs linked. In India, that's what happened. They have their digital IDs linked to their accounts. It's easy. And that's what's happening in other countries like in China. You find out that with your mobile phone, you can do anything. It's cashless, it's seamless, because why? The absorption of technology, the policies, the financial policies surrounding it, and the reformations that they have embraced enable them to achieve that level of success. So you see.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Julius. Please, I want to bring you to a terrain that you have referenced, but I needed you to make some clarifications concerning that. The Kenya Bureau of Statistics published that about 83% of Kenyan economy is driven by the informal sector. And those who drive this informal sector, most of them are sometimes not being banked. However, the financial inclusion reform has brought some of them into the frame of things. But one of the significance and one advantage that comes with the reform is access to credit. But these persons still cannot have access to credit because the credit bureaus or the digital credit platforms in Kenya are equally doing the same thing that the digital credit platforms are doing over here in Nigeria, where they take your details and they give you credit, but when you're unable to pay back at a specific point in time, they paint you and they call you all sorts of names in public domain. This has led the Kenya financial authorities to bring in new regulatory framework. It's happening in Kenya. It happened in Nigeria. Of course, we do not have doubt that it's going to happen in other African countries where these processes are taking place. What sort of policy framework do you think the government of Kenya can bring into place to ameliorate these anomalies and these lapses experienced in the financial sector?
Beautiful. Now, it's very easy. You can't, let's say, ignorance is not an excuse in law, right? You cannot fault an uneducated person, right? You can't fault an uneducated somebody that you have not properly educated. You cannot hold that person to ransom when that person defaults in the opportunity that you are giving to them. Right, I quite understand. Even though I lost you in part of the questions that you were asking, right? But I understand that the fact that access to microcredit is low, and then a policy came. Yes, I know the policy came bringing them into inclusion. Now there is no credit management mentorship, right? And there is no policy document that implements and drives that. Like for instance, in the Western world, you have a credit score, right? If you have the credit score alone tells us what your capacity is, what your character, what your capacity is. It has already done all the 5 C's that we do in banking before we give out loans, right? You need collateral, which is the last resort. You need capacity. You need your character. You need so the credit score rating, which is I mean, available to everyone who intends to deal with you or any financial institution dealing with you, gives us the capacity to know what you're qualified for. The fact that we want to give I mean, credit does not mean it is available for everybody. No, there must be a pre-qualification process that permits you to do that. Now, the failure of that in Nigeria is this. The moment you have a mobile phone, and because we want to give out loan, you understand, on your phone, you can easily access the credit. What is what's the assessment? What's the assessment that has been done about the authenticity of the user, right? Authenticity of the user before advancing such persons to credit. Now, I have had people who have come to me when they have those challenges. Of course, somebody is in dire need of cash and he has the opportunity to access a loan from a bank from a digital device. And they ask him to provide maybe 2 people, you understand, as referees. Of course, he has an uncle somewhere that he has his contact on his phone, and he will supply them in order to get that credit. Are we together? He gets access to the credit. What other way is the funds available to this person monitor? Now, in higher banking transactions, when they give you, when they advance you credit, they monitor the credit to ensure that all transactions that you are doing have recourse to the person that offered you the access to the money before money is spent or given out. Right? In the bank, there's something called push load debit, right? You can't debit that account without the authority of the bank before the person that gave that instrument for transaction. So you see it now. Now, because of behavior, we need some amount of behavioral science, behavioral science and behavioral economics to be able to manage people. You can't start calling out people in public domain because they defaulted in paying you back. Yes, they have defaulted. If you call them out in public domain, what are you going to achieve? You are damaging their reputation without considering what is responsible for that. There are a lot of things that happen when people get money. That is not, for instance, a lot of things happen. They can give you funds, and then there's a particular policy reform in a particular sector that affects the credit you are taking. You do not have control over that. When the value or the exchange rate changes.
If I may come in less than a minute, can you tell us, looking at cryptocurrency and central bank digital currency, the e-Naira, what role do these two play in the financial ecosystem reform? Are they being widely accepted, looking at Nigeria and Kenya? What role do they play in the reform?
They are going to play a good role because it makes financial transactions easy, right? They are going to make the financial transaction payment exchange of value easy, but we are not right. We don't have the character to manage that. In cryptocurrency, you can accept where we have advanced our technology to that trend, where we can trace missing money. You understand what happened with CBEX in Nigeria recently, right? You can't, that money is lost. When it gets into the cryptocurrency domain, it's easy with blockchain. Except you have that advanced technology, you can't trace that money. Once it is dissolved, it's in liquid form. It's almost like air, right? The moment it gets into that system, it dissolves, it disintegrates. Tracing it is very easy. So, except we have that cyber security architecture that can manage the volatilities of e-currency and cryptocurrency, we are not right for it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Julius Afolabi. This is a perfect place to land. We do appreciate your opinions and thoughts and insight this morning on financial ecosystem reform in Africa. Thank you very much. All right, that was Mr. Julius Afolabi, strategy consultant and premium income architect and creator of Designing Your Own Economy framework, discussing the financial ecosystem. What are your thoughts about what he said?
I like his analysis. I like his comparisons between Nigerian system, the difficulties and the bottlenecks we went through by way of policy, and how the same thing is reflecting in Kenya. And the same thing that Nigeria also experienced when there was, I will call it, when people want to access credit, probably most especially, credit is normally given for business purposes.
Yes.
Because the banks feel that that is only the way they can ensure that that money is going to be used for productive means. You're going to most likely have a return on investment so that you'll be able to pay back the money and the profit that you are paying back, that you borrowed from the lending authorities. However, sometimes when businesses go to access these credit facilities, or maybe individual businesses, they're unable to get them. And because they are being told you need to bring collateral.
Yes.
And sometimes not everybody have a house in Banana Island or in Ikeja or in Apapa and choice places. Even if your uncle has a house there, you cannot use your uncle's house until you get his permission for that purpose. And when they don't have that, just the way the digital banking systems, bulldoze their way into the financial system, and they were contending with the conventional banks. That's the same way credit institutions that give credit facility to businesses and individuals also experienced the same fight with digital credit platforms who came in. However, the digital credit platforms actually suffered their fate. Now, I would not say they are completely loose out of the system, because they've equally put in place measures that they need to put those who are coming to borrow credit in check, but not that process whereby they need to, call out people in public domain.
I was going to say that.
Not that. But now, if you see sometimes the people tell you there are institutions or there are organizations where you can go buy phones and you buy laptops, and they are telling you you do not have to come with the whole amount of money to pay for the phone. You come with 30% of the money to pay for the phone. After you've paid, then they can now spread out the rest of 70%. For like 6 months or 5 months. And if you are able to do that, because I was able to do that, immediately they saw that, I paid up the remaining balance within the specific period of time. So they felt, he has integrity. So then they moved further ahead to begin to sell me other credit product, other credit facilities that, you can get a loan. And this time I wasn't sent a text message. One of the agents had to call me from those institutions, those organizations. I thought they were only into selling phones for credit or for half credit, but they're now telling me, we can give you a credit facility spanning to 500,000 naira, 700,000 and 1 million naira. We've seen your track record.
With no collateral, nothing?
Yeah. Of course, with no collateral. No collateral, but there are things they are going to provide. They are going to monitor you, and they are going to, if you look at it very well, if you are owing some of these institutions some amount of money, and you are going to another bank to want to borrow money, there is a way they are linked together. And the system, there's a central platform that is going to display your details that look, he's already owing bank A or bank B, either in the conventional banking system or in the digital credit platform. In other words, those other organizations will not be able to facilitate that credit that you are requesting for, because they felt you owe an obligation to another organization where you need to pay up your fee. So I think they've put in some good measures in place, because we remember the government came out really against some of them that were using those unseemly means to collect back their money. And the same thing as is happening in Nigeria is also happening in Kenya. to the extent that the Kenyan Central Bank, the Central Bank of Kenya, and other Kenyan Bank Association, the Capital Market Authority, and some other institutions who are stakeholders trying to bring in the inclusive and reform system are to come out to make sure that, oh, there are things we need to put in place, because when credits fail, when you fail to pay back your debt, it weakens the system of trust, and they begin to have doubts to others who are coming for that purpose to access credit for other good and beneficial purpose.
All right, so let's pause from there for now. We'll take Cashcraft right now, and we're looking at honey. Yes, you get to find out what you can actually do with honey and the benefits, looking at the financial part of it also. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Cashcraft, where we uncover the gold in every enterprise. Today, we explore a buzzing opportunity that is sweet, sustainable, and seriously profitable: beekeeping and honey production. Nigeria's honey demand is rising, but supply still falls short, creating a lucrative gap in the market. Beekeeping is a low-capital agribusiness with high returns, especially when done organically. From honey to beeswax, propolis to royal jelly, every part of the hive has commercial value. Imagine this: low startup, high yield, a beginner-friendly venture with starter kits costing 50,000 naira to 150,000 naira and profit margins above 60% after the first harvest. That is very possible. Also, are you thinking climate advantage? Nigeria's tropical vegetation and long flowering seasons make it ideal for beekeeping almost year-round. So you know that's a good business to venture into. Now let's look at health and organic market boom. Natural unadulterated honey is in high demand. This demand kept increasing on a daily basis, not just locally but across West Africa and international markets. And it is used for different purposes, from health to skincare, culinary, and more. You may need further research, professional advice to understand exactly what I am talking about. Now, value chain potential. Processing and packaging honey, producing beeswax candles, selling hives, or even offering training is the way to go. Do not miss out. Just so you know, this is a climate-smart, gender-inclusive business that doesn't require owning a land or intensive labor. Here is how to take advantage. Start small with training and support. Enroll in the basic beekeeping course. Many NGOs, agricultural institutions, and cooperatives offer short-term hands-on training. Join a cooperative to access shared equipment, farmland, and easier entry into the market. Invest in starter kits. Begin with 1 or 2 hives. Starter kits typically include protective gears, a smoker, hive tools, and a bee colony. All you need to get started. Explore the full value chain. Process and bottle raw honey for local or boutique markets. Create value-added products such as beeswax candles, lip balm, soap, and natural polish. Build and sell beehives or rent them to farms for pollination services. Offer training and mentorship as your experience grows. Target empowerment opportunities. That's very key. Many donor-funded projects now support climate-smart, land-light ventures like beekeeping, making it ideal for women and youth with limited capital but strong entrepreneurial drive. From the wild to the wallet, beekeeping is more than a craft. It's a golden opportunity. With the right training and tools, you can turn nature's sweetest gift into your next source of steady income. And you know what? You don't need to think twice. If you want to go into it, take that decision now and get started. I am Grace Komalafe, and this is Cashcraft. I'll see you again some other time. Bye.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. This is Just Africa. We just had Cashcraft and we talked about honey. And honey is actually, it has a whole lot of health benefits. It relieves coughs, wound burn. It's actually used as an alternative for those who have a sweet tooth. I was asking you earlier on, I think last week, where I can actually get original honey.
Anybody, most people who actually want to buy honey, that's the word they stress, original honey. And that's because some of it out there has been adulterated. Even the ones who could lay their hands on the original honey will actually adulterate it in order to, to increase the quantity and want to make excess benefit. And one of the great experiences I had, or I was actually advised to do, was to replace sugar with honey. And most of the times, I don't want my voice to sound hoarse like you are hearing right now. I needed to take honey with tea or with any of the beverages, and it has a way of smoothing my voice so I can speak properly and not have any form of phlegm in my throat. And that's actually okay. But the thing is, the market for honey, it's large.
Yes.
Given its industrial use, its informal and personal use.
Yes.
However, we also need, because most of the time, the industrial aspect of it is most of the time what we don't live up to. And I cannot begin to blame that on the scare and the fear that businessmen and investors, operate on. They felt like, okay, there's so much, drum being beaten about the specific product and how good it is and how profitable it is business-wise. And so even if you have adequate knowledge or the seemingly adequate knowledge of the market, because of its inconsistency, looking at others who have delved into it and they have a different story to tell, which is contrary to what you have heard or the diagnosis of what you can get from business developers, they tend to shy back. So most of the time you are getting honey, and most of the time the market for it is just households and individuals, and it completely moves away from the industrial aspect, which could fetch the nation a large quantity of it.
Very well. Now, coming back to the financial ecosystem reform, I want us to look at our own digital currency, that's the e-Naira, side by side with cryptocurrency. I remember that Trump made an announcement earlier on about regarding cryptocurrency, how it will be used as another form of leisure and all that, payments and all that. And I'm wondering, when would we fully accept cryptocurrency in Nigeria, side by side with e-Naira also? And how well is e-Naira? How many people use it? How many people are actually engaged in that?
I remember very well when the previous administration, CBN, came out to launch that. And they introduced the e-Naira wrongly. And there was this fear by people who just feel, oh, I'm not going to go for it. Because while they were telling Nigerians to stay away from cryptocurrency, it was at the same time that they were shutting out everybody, almost young Nigerians who were jumping into the cryptocurrency, and they were able to make some dollars out of it. And because they felt the system cannot be actually monitored, the system cannot actually be regulated, and they can't really, shine a limelight on it to know the happenings there, because it's a platform. Most times you hear rumor that it's a platform where people can steal money and store it right there, and you cannot trace it. During the NSAS protests, so those who were sponsoring the protests were accused that they were actually sponsoring the protest using cryptocurrency because they do not want the government to trace them. And a few of them who were traced and caught by the government, confirmed that side of the story. Apart from that, recently the Securities and Exchange Commission came out with a new guidelines and new regulations on commodities. And when the new guidelines came in, they were putting out things like cryptocurrency or digital asset management, excuse me, and what it is required, what are digital assets. Excuse me, you see, I need honey. Like I said earlier. So they were putting out guidelines on digital assets and how it is part of the commodities that will be traded and how it will be monitored by the government. So in other words, the government is not going back on its words, I would say, but I think it is beginning to find a regulatory framework by way of policy and how these can be used and how it is accepted within the commodities market and how it is regulated, how it is acceptable, and the guidelines that should govern the transaction within that space. So I think we're doing well for it. However, the e-wallet, there is no, what I saw from it, there was no gain. If you save your money in the e-wallet, okay, we're told that it is from there you can remove money to facilitate other things, but the benefits are quite slim. So if the benefits are quite slim and the advantages are not really what they've really clarified to create awareness for the Nigerian or for the African, they just felt that they will stay back. So it's almost becoming like a dream that is gone to his grave, that is dead and buried. But I think the government, through the National Orientation Agency or the Nigerian Securities and Exchange Commission and the leaders and the stakeholders in the financial space will need to bring that to Nigerians and to re-explain it in order to make it more acceptable within the polity.
Well, frankly, you have said a whole lot. I remember when I was in Ghana, now a lot of populations in Ghana are unbanked, so they make use of this digital platform called Momo, whereby you can just send money to my phone number, and all I just have to do is take it to a vendor and impute. There's a code that will be sent, and I'll give the person the code, and I'll collect the money. Very smooth way of sending money, because when we got to Ghana, the hassle of going to meet one Alaji to change your naira to the CD or transferring to Alaji, and Alaji wait for you to confirm and all that. It was quite hectic. So when I was told about that, it was frankly a very smooth way of sending money, because you realize that for you to have a bank account, first of all, you must be a citizen. You must have an ID card for that particular country, and a lot of them do not have this. And so that's the quickest way for the, I won't call them peasants, but for the people, the ordinary man, to send and receive money and do business.
But I think it's very, very glaring. The government puts out a policy to regulate the banking system, to regulate the financial system, and sometimes some of these policies, instead of creating financial inclusion, it's rather creating financial exclusion. And that is why the transformation that came in through the digital banking platform is widely accepted. Now people use their phone numbers as bank accounts.
Bank accounts.
M-Pesa, the money, the digital money, M-Pesa in Kenya that I referenced when we were speaking about earlier. It's a replication in Nigeria. It's normal, the POS, the OPay, the First Money, and all other platforms. It's just that in Nigeria, we have quite a number of them, so numerous to maintain. We equally saw, like I said earlier on, the fights begin between the conventional banking platform, because they know, I will call it the business of politics or the politics of business. Because when they saw that, Nigeria is more than 200 million people, and the Nigerian Senate, the House of Representatives, including the executive arm of government, have been saying, and scholars and experts, that look, we have a larger population of Nigerians who are not currently banked. The same thing happened in Kenya. Lots of Kenyans who are not banked. And within 2007, that M-Pesa came to 2021, which is just about 14 years. 14 years. From 26% of those who are being banked, adults who are being banked in the conventional, on the formal banking platform, moved to about 83%. Can you imagine that jump and that leap? One other thing that made it that smooth in Kenya, though it is not without its shortfalls or its shortcomings, one of the things that made it's because the Central Bank of Kenya was in the system, was in the frame of things to facilitate the smoothness of that specific, the inclusive banking reforms. The Capital Markets Authority was equally in that system. The Kenya Bankers Association was in that system. The Financial Sectors Deepening Kenya, that's the FSD Kenya, a donor funded with think tank to develop these inclusive reforms, equally played a digital role. It played a very, very specific and critical role. But now the thing is, what we should be talking about is credit, access to credit.
Credits.
Because if a lot of what actually drives the business or is the SMEs in Kenya, and most of the SMEs are outside of the formal banking sector. They are outside. They are in the informal sector. If they are in the informal sector, those who operate in salons by the wayside, those who are into butchery, those who sell the farm produce and other businesses that are outside the formal sector, if they do, if through this platform they can have access to credit, then that is the way it's going to actually expand the frame of things with the way not only are they going to achieve the goal or the objective that the informal sector is being banked or that credit is being made available, but there need to be other regulatory activities that will need to be put in place. Those who will be accessing credit also have the obligation to pay back this credit.
Thank you very much. We can only hope that these reforms will take place sooner or later and that the wide acceptance would be encouraged. This is where we will draw the curtains for Just Africa this morning and this afternoon, wherever what time frame you are using to watch us right now. We'll be closing out with Madagascar on the uniqueness of Africa. Until we meet again, I am Olubide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And I'm Oyimpriye Krumale. Many thanks for watching.
Madagascar, the world's fourth largest island, stands as a geographical and ecological marvel of the southeastern coast of Africa. Isolated from the African mainland for over 80 million years, this island nation has evolved into a biological treasure trove found nowhere else on Earth. Over 90% of its wildlife is endemic, meaning it exists only in Madagascar, including the world-famous lemurs, baobab trees that look sculpted by myth, and an astonishing array of reptiles, insects, and plants. This extraordinary biodiversity has made Madagascar not only a focus of global scientific research, but also a symbol of nature's ability to evolve independently and richly. Beyond its natural wonders, Madagascar is home to a deeply diverse and culturally layered society. The Malagasy people trace their ancestry to both Southeast Asia and East Africa, making their culture a rare and fascinating fusion of traditions. This dual heritage is reflected in their language, rituals, architecture, and belief systems. The Malagasy language, derived from the Austronesian language family, is one of the few of its kind spoken on the African continent. This cultural hybridity also extends to cuisine, dance, and storytelling, blending African strength with Asian intricacy in daily life. Madagascar's history is equally distinctive. It developed powerful pre-colonial kingdoms, including the Merina Kingdom, which unified much of the island before French colonization in the late 19th century. Unlike many African countries, Madagascar experienced a relatively centralized monarchy before colonial rule. Since gaining independence from France in 1960, the country has navigated political instability, economic hardship, and natural disasters. Yet, it continues to strive toward democratic governance and sustainable development. Strategically located in the Indian Ocean, Madagascar is positioned as a crucial maritime node for trade, conservation, and regional diplomacy. Its economy, while heavily reliant on agriculture, fishing, and mining, is beginning to explore tourism as a sustainable development path. The island's unique biodiversity, combined with its warm hospitality
and rich cultural heritage makes it a compelling destination for ecotourists, adventurers, and scholars alike. In the face of deforestation, climate change, and poverty, Madagascar's story is one of resilience and irreplaceable natural wealth. It serves as both a warning and a wonder, reminding the world of what can be lost through neglect and what can be preserved through global cooperation and local stewardship. Madagascar is not merely another African country. It is an ecological arc, a cultural crossroads, and a national identity unlike any other on the continent. I'm Moyosore Adebiyi for Souq News TV.
Directors, President, Nigerian Guild of Editors, distinguished editors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chairman, as part of your engagement to engage with various stakeholders, you have met with various groups, and another critical group that you are meeting today are members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Of course, you had a meeting with NUG where they selected journalists from states of the Federation, where you share your vision and also seek for their support. It's the same thing we are here to do. Editors, before you is the chairman of the ICPC. Before becoming the chairman of ICPC, he was the Commissioner of Justice in Jigawa State. And he has a vision that he intends to unveil, or he wants you to help him so that he achieve this vision. Dr. Musa Ali San is currently pursuing a vigorous restructuring of the ICPC that requires your support, your understanding. And that is why I came to Lagos purposely to meet with you and to seek for that support. Distinguished editors, I present you as one of you. I present you the chairman of ICPC and Dr. Musa Ali San. Mr. Chairman, you are welcome, sir.
The management staff of ICPC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy and delighted to be in the midst of these distinguished Nigerians. And I have to say that we at ICPC, we really cherishes and greatly values the partnership with you all, because we know that you are really great and valuable because of the role which our Grand Norm has given to the media. And there is no doubt that your dedication to exposing corruption and enhancing our efforts has been crucial in fostering a more transparent society. And our decision to come here today is part of our determination to strengthen our partnership. That's why this breakfast meeting is not merely an event, but a reaffirmation of our shared mission to combat corruption and uphold integrity in Nigeria. And your support for the ICPC in delivering its statutory mandate, including its robust These and initiatives in fighting corrupt practices and other related offenses in Nigeria is really commendable, because you have been really helpful in enlightening Nigerians about the problem of corruption. And I'm personally filled with gratitude that the media has continued to positively boost the ICPC's anti-corruption public communication efforts. Your investigative reports, analysis, and overall dedication to truth have helped in exposing corrupt practices, because there are a lot of stories that you published which help us in our investigation. And most of these stories, they have led us to discovering some massive challenges that is facing, or that are facing our public sector. And if I may recall, there is one whereby it has to do with our youth. The contract is supposed to be executed for the benefit of our youth, but the humongous amount of money was diverted. And it was as a result of one of you we discovered the challenge. So I thank you for the contribution. As we salute your commitment to the crusade against corruption, ICPC under my leadership is really serious to ensure that sustenance and heightening of our collaboration with you. And the media is not merely an observer, you are a frontline partner in the fight. And over the years, ICPC has adopted a strategic communication approach in line with Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and Section 27, Sub 4 of the ICPC Act. And these laws ensure the protection of suspects' rights while remaining strict, diligent, and stand in our actions. And ICPC will remain resolute in propagating the rule of law and protecting human dignity. And also, ICPC under my leadership prioritizes the protection of whistleblowers and the integrity of investigations. And transparency is a cornerstone of our work, and we will continue to provide verified information through official channels, which include press releases, newsletters, and our digital platforms. May I quickly review some of our engagement last year? Last year, because I was the Attorney General, and I rallied my former colleagues, we had a meeting in Abuja whereby we look at the challenge of corruption at subnational. We reviewed the problems and also agreed that we need to work together. As a former Attorney General, I know that they are critical because they are the chief law officers of the states. That is why I engaged them, and after the meeting we had in Abuja, we started the zonal engagement. We had one in Kano for the Northwest, where we discussed challenges around corruption within the zone. And also this year we are going to the other geopolitical zones to have similar deliberations. And also in September this year we are going to sit down and review what we have done to see how can we partner. Because I feel the attorneys general are critical. And as chief law officers, they need to work together with us, because by Section 15 of the Constitution, all of us are supposed to put hand on deck in order to fight corruption and also to see how can we tackle abuse of office. And also, I had engagement with Nigerian Institute of the NIPR, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, ICANN, Nigerian Bar Association, and various stakeholders on how can we partner in the fight against corruption. Because no single entity can fight corruption. We need to work together. So that is why I reach out to various stakeholders to ensure that we are on the same page. And last year, we were able to reach out fiscally 1,458,000 individuals through our 579 sensitization exercise conducted under community engagement programs. And we issued about 188 press releases. And also the Commission experienced increased followership in our social media platforms. And also we introduced what we call ethics pods, a podcast, whereby we are sensitizing Nigerians around the issue of corruption. And also, there is no way we can succeed without having planning. Our strategic action plan 2024 to 2028 was unveiled last year, whereby we gathered stakeholders and discussed it, because that will be our focus on how we can work. And our strategic action plan is in line with the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, which has 5 pillars: corruption prevention, issue of enforcement and punishment, ethical orientation, and also enlisting public support of Nigerians, so that, and also recovery of proceeds of crime and management. And this is the area whereby we have upscaled our activities to see that we trace, recover, and manage the process of crime, and also to remit it back to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, so that we won't allow those allegedly took away what did not belong to them to go away with it. Because if you allow them, once they accumulate the process of crime, no doubt they will use it and also to fight back. And also they will deprive Nigerians with what they are supposed to have in the issue of infrastructure. So that's why we focus seriously in that area of recovery of process of crime. And also ICPC, as you know, that it has laudable programs. And one of the key issues which I focus is that I ensure that I consolidate all what the previous chairman of ICPC have done, from late Justice Mustafa Akambi to Professor Wasoni. I ensure that all their programs are intact, and I'm building up, so that I want to ensure that we maintain that organizational culture of ICPC, and also for me to enhance what they did, most especially to focus on digital transformation, because this is an area whereby we need to use technology in the fight against corruption, most especially in the area of analytics, artificial intelligence, that we'll be able to analyze huge data. And I'm sure you are aware of the constituency and executive project tracking, which ICPC is well known about it. And I know last year we were able to track over 1,500 projects, which has value of over 600 billion naira. And so that at least Nigerians can get good quality projects that is in the budget. And also the Ethic and Integrity Compliance Scorecard, which is an initiative of ICPC, which measure institutions' adherence to ethical standards. We released the results, and I have seen the impact, because most of head of agencies that have not done well, they reach out. Chairman, why? What are our challenges? Can you help us to see that we overcome these problems? Which is really good, because I have never thought that it will have that impact. And why? Because of you here. You have gave it wide publicity. So because of that, most of the head of agencies now, they reach out. Please, how can we do well next year. So I thank you for the assistance. And also our sexual harassment prevention program, which is tackling corruption linked to abuse of power. Last year, I know that we had engagement with the civil society, where the ministers of the Minister of Education, then Professor Tahir Mamman, and the State Minister Yusuf Tanko Sununu, they were there. The former Minister of Affairs was there, and also over 20 commissioners of education across the country, they attended, because we discussed the challenge around the problem of sexual harassment, most especially in our tertiary institutions, because our students are victims of this challenge. So that's why ICPC has been doing its great in that area, so that we ensure that we help our students, we protect them from sexual harassment. And I'm sure that you are aware that currently there is one of the senior academics that is facing trial at Abuja Federal High Court on this issue of sexual harassment. So, and we are determined to ensure that where there is credible evidence, any sexual harassment complaint tabled before us, we will make our efforts to ensure that we investigate it and also take the matter to court where there is evidence. Then there is our Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit, Act 2, that they have been doing well in the various MDAs in order to help in ensuring that there is transparency and accountability in MDAs in this country. Then, when I came in, I tried to bring up my policy, which I call it Care for Impact, to ensure that ICPs as an agency, I consolidate the good culture of that agency, and also an agency which is unaccountable, responsible, and efficient in approaching all issues that are tabled before us. So that one too is something that I unveiled last year, and we have been using it. Now, recently, we are aware of the decision of the Supreme Court about the local government autonomy. So we have looked at the decision, and also we have been having various engagement with civil society to see how can we give our quota, how can we control our quota in ensuring that the local government autonomy operates the way it's supposed to. And also, how can we follow what are happening in the local government councils. And we are trying to bring up what we call corruption prevention program for local governments, whereby we will monitor activities at all the 774 local government areas in this country. One problem we notice is that in this era of technology, there are only 7 local government areas in this country that have functional websites. So we feel that is not right. So we will now try to see how can we use technology to force the local government council to make information available to Nigerians so that Nigerians can follow what they are doing. You, also the editors and other media stakeholders, can be able to follow what are they doing so that we will monitor if there are issues, questions can be asked. We too, we can follow, because we don't have the enough manpower to go over all the 774 local government areas. But we feel technology can help us. And we know that practically, I don't think there are procurement processes in our local government councils. This is an area where we need to look at. And also, we will ensure that there are mechanisms around control of corruption, around the issue of finances of local government councils. So we will team up with the media, with the civil society, to ensure that information are available. Nigerians know what is happening, so that at least it will reduce the challenge of corruption at local government level. Last 2 weeks, we are in Gombe, myself and Ola, the chairman of the EFCC, and we discussed around the challenges at local government level. So, and we are determined to ensure that we focus there so that Nigerians at the local level can get the dividend of democracy. And even recently, we have been facing challenges around the issue of this local government autonomy, because there is even one caretaker local government chairman whom we charged to court, because after the decision of the Supreme Court, he continued to spend government money to award contracts, despite the fact that the Supreme Court said, look, stop. And also we know how challenging this issue of local autonomy has been since 1999. But ICPC as an agency, we will ensure that by virtue of Section 287 of the Constitution, we have the power to ensure that the decision of the Supreme Court is implemented fully. And also, I'm appealing to those who are making attempts not to comply with the decision of the Supreme Court to please desist. Because Supreme Court is the last court. Once it delivers a judgment, we must comply. That's what is rule of law. Because ICPC will continue to monitor and investigate, because any caretaker local government chairman from 11th of July 2024 who spent public funds, who award contract, that is corruption, because you don't have the mandate. And also the Apex Court has already spoken, so we must comply. Now, in my 1 year in office, there are a lot of international engagements which ICPC engage in. And in one of the engagements is that last year in September, we had an event in Beijing, China, whereby there is Global Network. Global Network is a coalition of over 200 anti-corruption agencies across the globe from 124 countries. And I had the privilege of leading ICPC delegation and Nigeria, whereby Nigeria participated in an election of steering committee member, and Nigeria was elected as one of the top steering committee member of that global network. And also, one area which I made mention that we have been focusing is the issue of asset recovery. Asset recovery is really area whereby we in Africa, we must focus on it, because we have seen how our own resources have been taken outside the continent, going to the global north. So that was why at the African Union level, if you may recall, in 2015, there is Thabo Mbeki high-level committee, whereby the heads of state of African countries agree that there is need for a forum of asset recovery practitioners in Africa. And the processes of bringing up the forum, it was last year that the forum was established in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and I was elected as one of the representatives of West Africa, whereby we met in Arusha, Tanzania in November, whereby I was elected as the interim chair of that forum to try to galvanize the 55 African countries and corruption agencies to ensure that we come together to see how can we help Africa to recover and repatriate stolen assets that are kept somewhere else. And we agree that, look, apart from slavery, which is our own human resources that was taken to other continents, there are a lot of stolen assets of Africa outside the shore of Africa. And we know what is happening. Whenever you want to trace and recover, the experts outside Africa will charge you huge amount of money to recover all professional fees, to recover those stolen assets. So that was why we say, no, we need to come together as Africans. Let us identify our experts within the continent. If we need somebody to trace, Nigeria doesn't have the expert. It can look for Ghana, Kenya or any other African country. Do you have the expert? Yes. So that's why we are coming together to see that we trace, recover, and repatriate the stolen assets. Also, we'll keep on raising this issue of stolen assets at various fora, because the United Nations Convention Against Corruption has already backed the issue of stolen assets that we need to recover it. So this is an area whereby that I'm chairing now, and we are trying to see how we will make efforts to see that it has seen the light of the day. And distinguished editors, we know that corruption thrives where there is silence or in silence. But your voices are the ones that can shatter that silence. Your role in shaping public perception and holding institutions accountable cannot be overstated. The more Nigerians see what you write, what your opinion about this issue of corruption, the better for us. Because they will be enlightened, they will know what is happening, they will ask questions, and that will put us on our toes. That will minimize the challenge of corruption. Because we at ICPC, we are trying to see how can we use our mission to diminish corrupt practices through our public mobilization, our own doggedness in investigation, and also to ensure that we follow rule of law. We will be patient in investigation. No matter how long it will take, we will do it slowly but surely. We will reach our destination. And also, we at ICPC will ensure that we deepen our own relationship with you, the media. And I'm appealing to you to come to our, try to understand the terrain we are working. It's not easy terrain. Whoever worked within the corruption cycle will know that it is not easy, because it is an area whereby you are fighting those who are already determined to continue to pilfer our resources. It's an area whereby those who engage in corrupt practices are really determined to peddle information that are not correct in order to try to bring controversies so that to divert the attention of the main issue. So fairness, hearing from the other side, is what will help us to discharge our mandate. And ICPC, for the past 25 years, has consistently maintained ensuring that there is fairness and the fair hearing, and also we do not engage in anything that will bring damage to people because of allegation against them. We will continue to ensure that we will be fair. If you ask questions, we will answer. And like I said, we are appealing to you to reason with us because of the terrain we are operating, which I know I don't need to elaborate. So that's why there is no way we will not come close to you. There is no way, because we need you, because Nigerians need to know what is happening. That will project the good image of our country. That will make foreign direct investment to come into our country. That will make our youth to have job. We know what is happening in this country. We know that a lot of youth are roaming on the streets looking for job. And the youth are the future leaders of this country. So, and it is through you, by helping us to propagate our activities and also to bring issues that will project good image of this country. By doing that, we will make Nigeria great, and also will tackle the challenge of corruption. And conclusively, I want to emphasize that you mean a lot to us, and that we count on you as dependable partners in ensuring that Nigeria is corrupt-free, and also I'm sure that partnering with you will continue to help ICPC to move forward, and also ICPC will continue to record achievements, and we hope that the aspiration of Section 15 of the Constitution will be realized, where Nigeria will be a country free from corrupt practices and abuse of office. Thank you so much. Money and property last year, and I even know even this year too, we recovered some amount of money and also property. Even currently, we are tracing and marking some assets in one of the states where some people diverted public funds. Even this morning, I know that there is an amount of money which we recovered from the diversion of public funds. So we are talking about both the fixed and movable property. That's if you are talking within Nigeria. Even abroad, it is the same thing. Although during my time, ICPC did not recover any assets from taken outside the shores of Nigeria. But I know that we are collaborating with one of the African countries about money that was brought into Nigeria from that country. We are tracking and to trace the money so that we will see how the money can be taken back to where it was brought in here. So this is what I can say. And some of the issues you raise are part of the problem. Like I said somewhere else, and I kept on saying, I will say it here. My first contact with public office is when I was Attorney General. That was when I now realized that all what I was thinking, when I came into contact with the reality, then I now realize that we Nigerians are part of the problem. One of the issues you raised about societal pressure. I'm not saying that it's a justification for any public officer to engage in corruption. But if you, I'm sure you have had one or two discussions with those who are holding public office. The kind of stress, the pressure that public officers are undergoing in this country is too much. Because the family, the friends, associates expect you to give them money. And this is one of the factors that is now pushing those in public office to go into that. And I noticed that any public officer who resists, you are considered as awkward, very difficult, and they will keep on pressurizing you that if only people that are strong that can stand that pressure. And also some people too, they are even daring, will tell you, I was a victim when I was Attorney General. And I want to say it here, maybe the person who did it will hear an issue which I say, look, AG, we want you to do this thing. I say, sir, it's not even in public office, it's not even a public officer. I say, sir, I can't do this thing because my conscience will not allow me to do it. After they put pressure from different angles, okay, you are a young man. How? I don't want to destroy your career. And I say, sir, my career is not in your hand. is in the hand of God, my Creator. And I left. What followed, it wasn't pleasant. I had to battle for more than 1 year of series of blackmail, from one blackmail to another, just because somebody wants to get money, and you can only get that money through me. And I was put under intense pressure to succumb, which I did not. What followed was I was put under serious stress. Now, the second problem is there is this theory. Whenever the corruption, if you look at it, if the benefit is high, the risk is low, people will keep on to engage. If people know that if you engage in corruption, it is really highly risky, you will lose your reputation in public. People will never consider you as somebody who has reputation in the society. People will be careful. If you know that the punishment is going to be very harsh, people will be careful. But if the risk is very low, the benefit is high, so people will continue to engage. So that is why we need to look, how can we strengthen our laws to ensure that those who engage are punished seriously. And also, you, the media, you have the role to play in sensitizing Nigerians that those who are trying, please try to support them. And I want to tell you that there are good people in this country. Every part of this country, there is no part of this country that I did not come across people that detest corruption, people that are serious, people that help me. I met a lot of people that are trying to see how can we help this thing, how can we fight this corruption, Chairman. But the problem is that the support from the public, sometimes people are not willing to support because they feel, you know, what you are doing is not worth it, and also because of the pressure, so people feel like, okay, let us leave you, go and do what. So this is second problem. And also, we need to see how can we fasten the judicial process, because it's law. It is not the law that is the problem, but rather some of us within the system, we try to put stumbling block in the judicial processes, bring in series of applications, truncate, so that you will see one case will take many years. Even the witness will be frustrated. You call a witness today, the matter is adjourned, and I'm not saying that it is the fault of the judges. No, it is all of us, the lawyers, and also other stakeholders, that we know if your client has an issue, as a lawyer, you know, because once you look at the facts and the proof of evidence, you'll be able to know that my client has an issue. Okay, how can we help him to face justice so that all the process of justice, the court and the system should be fair to him? But you will see that that slowing down is also another factor. That you will see somebody engage in corruption, when you take him to court, it will take many years. And before you know it, you will see another corruption case. And also another problem, especially in the public sector, I now notice, is that our public service rules also has a problem because it has given a leeway that people engaging in corruption, there is no specific provision which provides that, look, once you are engaged in corruption, you should automatically be dismissed. But some, you will find that after ICPC are investigating an issue, it has taken somebody to court, even if you secure conviction, you will not realize that the agencies are not willing to edge out those people. They will leave them to continue working. Because I feel any public officer that is convicted, he is not supposed to continue working in public agency. He should go. If the Constitution will say that conviction of embezzlement and fraud attracts disqualification for a certain period of time, I think there is need. Any convict should not be allowed to work within the public service. It should just be aged out. And that is why now, as chairman of ICPC, we are now going to exploit the Code of Conduct, Bureau and Tribunal. Any public officer with secure conviction and the agency refuses to edge him out, we will send him to Code of Conduct because they have the power to edge him out. So there is another way so that we don't allow people to continue. So these and other issues are part of the problem why the problem of corruption will keep on coming and coming and coming. And also the institutions are really weak because there are a lot of vulnerabilities where people are exploiting in order to commit corrupt practices. That is why we need to focus on technology. Technology will be able to give you the trend. You will be able to know some of the things that are happening, most especially around procurement. This is an area whereby there is serious problem because of the laxity and the challenge around that. So that's why you will see that almost you will be seeing issues around procurement be raised in public sector. So this is also another factor that is bringing this issue of corruption to keep on going. And also there is international dimension too. Because if those who are taking or stealing the humongous amount of money, they don't have a place to hide it, then it will reduce. But they know that they can wear it somewhere else. And those countries, I keep on saying, when you say that we have challenge of corruption, why are you keeping the process of crime in your country? Why can't you turn them back? This is process of crime. Please take it back to your country because there is United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And it is a global legal instrument. But you will find out that when they wear the money outside the country, there are a lot of technicalities. MLA, other things that will be frustrated because the legal mechanisms are made in such a way that it's even very, very difficult for you to recover. So if they know that they cannot take it somewhere else, I think the problem might reduce. Okay, the constituency project, like I said, we have been investigating the issue because it's a challenge that has been with us for a long period of time. And from what I notice of why the challenge keep on coming is one of the issues you made mention. Because there was a time when member of National Assembly told me, say, Chairman, I have concern. I say, what is your concern? He said, it's about this concern executive project tracking. You people are doing well. But I know why this issue will keep on coming. On that day, he was telling me the challenge he was facing. There was burial in his hometown. You need to contribute. He said, look, somebody had domestic accident. He called me. And so he kept on mentioning. He said, I'm not justifying, but the societal pressure on us is too much. That's why only those who are strong will resist. And I don't know whether that is part of the reason why we are having this challenge. And to be frank with you, we have noticed areas whereby some of them did not execute the projects. We have noticed whereby some of them, they did shoddy job. We have noticed whereby some of you noticed that, like I keep on saying, a well is supposed to be dig in one place and somebody will just take it to his home farmland. We will see whereby street lights, instead of to be installed on the streets, somebody will put in his house. So these are challenges that are keep coming. And I know that there is one of the newspapers last year, they made a front page story that ICPC has failed to tackle this challenge. And I know that we have been doing our best. And we did a lot because we have recovered a lot. And even currently, I know that there is somebody who is facing trial. A charge will file a charge against one of the former members of National Assembly. A former member is facing trial because of diversion. And also we know that we have been going to ensure that if you do not execute the contract, you must go and do it. I know that there is a state whereby an ambulance was diverted. We ensure that it was taken to the hospital. I know where a lot of things, and that's why the strategy is good, in the sense that let us recover the proceeds of crime and put it into use. Because if you keep on filing charges and all these things, you will spend many years in court while the actual project will not be executed. And to be fair to them, if you confront them, you show them the proof. Honorable or distinguished, this is a project you're supposed to execute, you do not. Please direct the contractor to go back to site, or contractor go back to site. They go back. And recently, those who are being used, the contractors, I have been hard on them. If you allow money to be diverted through you, you are going to charge you now. You want to refund that money because you allow yourself to be used as conduit pipe. So we have been doing that and we have recovered a lot. And if I may say that the societal pressure, in my view, is one of the challenges, and also the weakness of the institutions. Because, to be frank, some of the heads of agencies, they allow themselves to be used in these challenges of constituency projects. Because if the head of agencies insists, once there is a contract awarded, that contract must be executed to the latter. Or you insist that you're not going to allow anything to be inserted in your budget, which is not out of your mandate. So if we will do that, then this thing will minimize. But if the head of agencies allow themselves to be used, then this thing will keep on happening. And ICPC, all the corruption agencies, we don't have the capacity to follow all the projects. That's why you, as the media, you can expose. The public too, they need to follow their project, all your projects. If there's a project which is supposed to be done in your constituency or in your sector district that was not done, raise it. And I don't think there is any public officer that you confront him with evidence that this amount of money was appropriated for a particular project and you don't execute, please go back and execute. You will not say, no, I'm not going to do that. I hope I have answered. we are doing it in such a way that we don't disrupt the financial system. So we do it in such a way that we don't allow you to continue with illegality and committing crime, so that we will save the banking system and also the public sector fund. Then on issue of Dubai, like you made mention, in my speech I made mention of process of crime. And I alluded to the fact that the international legal regimes, the various laws of countries are the problem. Because for me, I kept on saying in various fora on corruption that look, if somebody steals our money and take it to your own country and you keep it, why are you telling me that we should come together and fight corruption? Why? Because you know, because you're